Let's have a look at the Fuso starting grid for the Wilson Security Sandown 500 on the front row of the grid, and from the pole it'll be Paul Dumbrell driving with Jamie Whincup, Red Bull Racing Australia, Jonathan Webb and Shane Van Gisbergen. They will occupy position number 2 for VIP Pet Food. Second row of the grid, position number 3, Steve Owen at the helm of Mark Winterbottom's car. Alex Premer, the Frenchman, living in Paris these days. He's sharing in that wonderful Volvo with Scotty McLaughlin. What a quick car it's been this season. Next position occupied by Warren Luff and Garth Tander, number 2. It's an all-Holden Racing Team, row number 3. And we've got Greg Murphy at the helm here. You saw him there speaking with Mark Larkham a bit earlier. We've got Craig Lowndes and Stephen Richards together. What an experienced and successful combination. Richo is at the wheel. David Reynolds is the only primary driver. He'll be sharing with Dean Canto. Then it's Tim Slade, Tony D'Alberto, Fabian Coulthard and Luke Youlden. Luke did a wonderful job yesterday in the sprint for the grid. The Englishman, Alex Buncombe, is driving with Todd Kelly. He's loving his V8 Supercar adventure. And on double duty this weekend is Craig Baird. He's driving with Lee Holdsworth, 4th last year. Dean Fiore is driving with Michael Caruso in the reverse livery on the Norton Nissan Altima. David Russell sharing with new dad, Rick Kelly. Andrew Jones shares with Jason Bright. They are one of only 7 combinations in this race that remain from 2013. Englishman Ollie Gavin is driving with Nick Percat. Nick went so close to cleaning up a race as a solo flyer at Eastern Creek, and Ollie's got an amazing pedigree. Paul Morris shares with Chaz Mostert. Looking further afield, little penalty yesterday for Ash Walsh. He's with Scotty Pye. Had a heart racing moment on Friday in practice. Cam Waters with Jack Perkins, the boys from the Mallee up in northwestern Victoria. Robert Dalger and Greg Ritter. Greg Ritter does a remarkable job. He's a plasterer by day. He steps back into a V8 Supercar for the endurance races. He does an incredible job. Steve Johnson back in the family team with David Wall. Had an oil line come off that car on Friday in practice. Steve's put in a huge preparation for this event. He's dropped a heap of weight. He's working very hard. Dale Wood, Chris Pither. Chris at the helm. They had a problem with a pulley come off that engine yesterday. It was the reason we saw it sidelined into turn number 2. It dropped oil pressure. They changed engines overnight.
Well, here we are down here at the start line of the Sandown 500. Let me tell you, it does not get any better than this. Melbourne sunshine, no rain predicted. Look at the crowd up there. Fantastic turnout today as the boys come up and grid up. Now remember, most of these guys in the cars are the B drivers, the co-drivers. The starts they just did then, the burnouts, were actually quite untidy. You heard Greg Murphy when I was just talking to him about all the little things you've got to get right. They'll have a line locker, a thing that locks their brakes, a button on the steering wheel. They'll get their throttle position to about 30%. They'll have to feed the clutch out, let the line locker go, and very important, look for safety car stops anytime after 12 or 15. They'll start to pit. This is going to be a spectacular race. Get onto the racing line for the first corner. You don't want to be on the left-hand side. Stand by.
Mark Larkham reporting. Brianna Crean will be in pit lane as well. Together with Mark Beretta, Mark Scaife, myself, Neil Crompton. We hope you're going to enjoy this Wilson Security Sandown 500 this afternoon, the 50th anniversary of the running of the Sandown Enduro. Dumbrell on the pole. He and his teammate Jamie Whincup, the reigning champions. The VIP Pet Foods car on the outside, Jonathan Webb. He hasn't started a V8 Supercar since 2013 in earnest in a big long race like this. He did a great job yesterday, and how's the start for Dumbrell? Blazes to the lead, and look at the margin the front two have got already into the first turn.
Unbelievable, great walk away from the line from the first 2 cars, and look at all the drama as they're bumping into each other between turn 1 and 2. That's ugly into there.
Murphy in position 3, but is already car lengths behind it. Big damage on Andrew Jones' car. It's plucked the door skin off car number 8. And they'll have to deal with that. They can't have that flailing. It's actually parted company now. Oliver Gavin on the right-hand side of Andrew Jones. Paul Morris is in there as well, together with Cam Waters. They're going to run 3 wide at the end of the back straight at 260 kilometres an hour. Morris prevails.
How about Dave Reynolds?
Trouble.
Oh, he's giving you a bump.
Gavin gave him a bump. And so Andrew Jones to the outside at turn 9 at Dandenong Road. That's at the northernmost end of the racetrack. So it's Willing in the back of the pack.
How was that? Taz Douglas got a bump then also. And that was a big moment. Ritter and Douglas make contact in a straight line. What about Dave Reynolds? He's the only lead driver, the main driver, starting in the field. He's come from 8th to 4th. So that experience has proved a very big component of the first lap.
It's all happening at the back of the pack here as well. Russell Ingles trying to make a run down the inside, should I say. Tim Blanchard. Remember, the field doubles. The 25 regulars are joined by 25 co-drivers. That door skin still on the road there from Andrew Jones' car. The green lights inside the windscreen of the car indicate the co-driver in the car, and Oliver Gavin actually just grabbed that door skin. That was dangerous. So when the lights are illuminated, the co-driver's in the car, and the only primary driver out there at the moment is David Reynolds, and he's threatening Greg Murphy at the moment for a third place manoeuvre.
Remember, the only way to determine that from the outside is the green light. So all of the green lights in the windscreen are illuminated, and as you can see there, looking on board now from Greg Murphy's car, back at Dave Reynolds, and no green light in the front windscreen as the lead driver, Dave Reynolds, doing a great job right up behind Greg Murphy. So Dumbrell, Webb, Murphy, Reynolds, Prema, Owen, Luft, D'Alberto, Richards, Baird. That's your top 10.
It's a significant margin back to this little battle going on here, led by Greg Murphy. So Murphy under pressure from Reynolds. Reynolds getting lots of regular seat time. Greg's done some test days and some ride days for the Holden Racing team, and he'll also be doing some more kilometres as the season unfolds in the New Zealand Super Touring Championship. It was a very difficult enduro campaign for him last year, so things just settling down now. Fastest lap of the race, Jonathan Webb, 1 minute 10.9. It's officially 0.6 of a second, first to second. Curb cam at the end of the back straight.
I love that shot. That's 200 kilometres an hour. This is your Gillette Mach 3 replay, and look at the start that Dumbrell and Webb got. They led into the first corner by a mile. That's Dave Reynolds around the outside there. In fact, he almost got to third. This is on board with D'Alberto. D'Alberto now, you can see the guys moving around everywhere. There was a couple of starts that were bogged down. Luft got caught. You can see how far he went backwards. Murphy got a great start, so they were alongside each other. Now the bumping. This is Steve Richards in front. You've got to get the cars through here without making contact. Great driving, those two guys. Up the inside, D'Alberto.
And the significance of that is they've swapped seats between those two cars this year. Replay of the other angle from the start. Incidentally, Dumbrell, meantime, out there has done the new fastest lap of the race as he settles in, a 1 minute 10.3. Gillette replay from the outside of turn one. You can see more of the jostling going on right at the very back of the pack here. And this is where you'll ultimately see that contact that involved Andrew Jones, and eventually that door skin parts company with that car. Oliver Gavin to the right drives for General Motors in the US, an Englishman. And then it hangs on until they get onto the back straight and eventually breaks free.
It popped the whole door open. I didn't realise when we got that shot, and that's the next bump, wasn't it? That was, again, Gavin into the back of Jones.
And then Ollie runs over it together with Cam Waters and flicks it over the fence, fortunately out of harm's way. Oh. So you can see the side intrusion protection on the Team BOC car as the number 36 Norton Nissan of Dean Fiore actually comes into the pit lane. So you can see the side intrusion protection there, the big carbon panel that's in the side of the Andrew Jones, Jason Bright, Holden. This is David Reynolds attacking the back of Greg Murphy at the moment, turn 4. The Holden Racing Team cars have been a little bit weaker in this area of the track this weekend. Their second gear low-speed traction has been a little compromised. They've been chasing it, trying to get a better performance out of the cars, but didn't look too bad relative to David Reynolds there.
Early laps when the tyres are fresh, mastered a little bit. So later in the race, you'll see most of that complaint come to the fore. They're complaining in 36 of an engine misfire, Neil. So that was the reason that had come in. That was an early stop. The first of the stops for the field. Dumbrell, as we said a second ago, a 10.30, fastest lap down the inside. This is a good battle. Prema and Reynolds, they got through there with minimal contact. Very good driving, and a run now. A run in behind there for Steve Owen, who's got momentum. If he's smart, he'll move to the inside. Dave Reynolds runs into him in a straight line. There's no need for that early in the race. 6 laps in a 161 lap event. You don't need to make contact in a straight line. So Prema fires back down the inside, rubs him, bumps him off. Down through the grass goes Reynolds. So does D'Alberto. It's like a sprint race, seriously. You reckon it's a 10-lapper? It's 161 laps.
Their respective crews are not going to be enjoying this back in the bunker. That level of contact early in the race is not good, so already there's radios erupting. So that's Alex Premer in the Volvo on the attack. Both cars out of breath at the end of the back straight. New fastest lap of the race is Paul Dumbrell, by the way. 1.3 second margin. Reynolds being attacked. His low-speed traction, a little bit like the remark I made before about Greg Murphy, was compromised at turn 4 as well. And you...
On the straight line, he pushed me, so it's just up my momentum. You should get a penalty from that, definitely.
Animated Alex Premer.
Sorry, that's not SBS.
Some commentary. There's Scott McLaughlin on screen. David was also a little bit weaker through turn 1 yesterday. He wasn't happy with the behaviour of the car. This has let Greg Murphy off the hook. There's Luke Gilden having a look at Craig Baird into 1.
We needed subtitles for that little exchange there with Alex Premer, but what a great job, Dumbrell and Webb. 1.3 seconds, Dumbrell. As you said, Murphy's been the beneficiary of the drama between Premer and Reynolds. That's given him a little reprieve. He's basically 4 or 5 seconds now up the road, which has made a big difference to the level of pressure. Rihanna?
Yeah, I've spoken to the crew of the Norton Hornets. The Dean Fiore car, the engine misfire that was reported, the car is now clear. He just came in for a regular pit stop, so they are on an early pit stop strategy, as is the car 9 of Alex Davison and Will Davison. So early pit strategy for both of those cars.
Thank you. There was a lot of chat on the radio about 36 at that time, so it's good that that's cleared. It was a little bit like the Lowndes car yesterday before the sprint for the grid race. And that was one that he got away with. Lowndes at the moment with Steve Richards is down in 9th position.
Great drama so far. Grab a breath. We'll be back in just a tick. The Wilson Security Sandown 500.
So we're off and rolling, and the chase is on. Car number 1 has got the pace. The reigning Sandown champions, Paul Dumbrell at the wheel. The margin's 1.5 seconds back to Jonathan Webb, who has been really impressive this weekend. This guy's done a great job too. We're on board with Tony D'Alberto, Super Duke Auto Commodore. He and Tim Slade teaming up this weekend, and really we haven't said probably enough about them. They've been a regular top 10 runner through qualifying, the 2 sprints for the grid yesterday. Remember, they're part of the Walkinshaw Racing stable. This is Cam Waters in the Jolwen Ford racing Ash Walsh in the Wilson Security car. These 2 regularly race against one another in the Dunlop Series, the development category for V8 supercars. Oh, and that's sideways over the top of the hill. That's fast stuff. That's 185 k's an hour across the top of that hill as we jump on board with the Wilson Security Ford. This car repaired since the last round in Sydney, but it was pretty heavily damaged. Having a bit of a struggle this weekend, Dick Johnson's team. Talked to Ash Walsh before this race, and they're really struggling with looking after the rear tyres on that Ford. There's Stephen Richards, a little bit of a look behind D'Alberto in the 888 Commodore of Craig Lowndes. He runs in 9th at the moment. Of course, Tony D'Alberto, former full-time championship driver as recently as last year. Done a little bit of Ferrari GT racing this season to keep his eye in. We've got rhythm now. Lap 9 of 161. Dumbrell with the fastest lap a couple of laps ago. 1 minute 10.2. He's got the pace on the field at the moment. So yesterday's form has translated to today. But this is one of those days at races where there are so many more variables in play in the races that we've done to lead to this moment. Al D'Alberto, Tony's dad, watching on. This time last year would have been pretty busy running his own team, but he's just watching this weekend as his son fights with the man who is the new signing to Red Bull, the reigning Bathurst champ, Steve Richards. All 25 cars still on the lead lap of the race. In these early stages, everyone's just feeling out what sort of car they've got beneath them, what their rivals are looking like, what sort of pace that they have, where they're strong, where they're perhaps a little weak. And the big mover early on has been David Reynolds, the only full-time championship regular on the road at the moment. The rest of the cars piloted by their co-drivers. It's Paul Dumbrell, who leads the way. He's starting to sneak away. The chase for car number 1 is on at Sandown.
We're 10 laps into the 2014 Wilson Security Sandown 500, and you'd never know this is a 161-lap race. From the moment it started, this race was intense and it was on. Paul Dumbrell leads from Jono Webb, Greg Murphy, David Reynolds and Alex Premer, Neil and Scafie. This has been amazing.
Yeah, pretty willing start. Not unusual, though, because they've all got to try and get those early positions and get into a rhythm as quickly as they can. There's a little exchange here between Oliver Gavin and Cam Waters. So Ollie's been involved in a few things so far early in the game today. How about this replay before? Alex Premer and David Reynolds. Big paint exchange down there at turn 2 and 3, and on it went, involved a bit of grass in the process as well. And then Alex gave us some commentary and his view of it coming back down the straight when he had a chance to think about it. They've also asked him, now that the heart rates have settled down, if he can give them a bit of a read on the car. On that topic, Luke Youlden's saying that understeer's killing him at the moment at the end of the back straight, turn 6. So here we go, Paul Morris, turn 1. He's having a real battle with this car. I spoke to him in detail about it yesterday, and it's very different in its configuration and what it requires compared to the cars that we regularly see him driving in the Dunlop series. He said you've got to be very sensitive to the way in which you brake and turn the car. And so he's having his hands full out there at the moment. Just a moment for him on the replay there down at turn 1. So the reason I mentioned that the engineers are asking drivers for a read is they start now, Rod Nash, team owner, Botlow Racing there for David Reynolds on screen, whether or not they should change the incoming tyre pressures for the next tyre set, or if it's disastrous enough, they might even make a change to the car. And at some point during the afternoon, I'm sure Mark Larkin will show us little spring wedges that are available to the teams down there, and they may even make a ride height change if it requires it. So there'll be a lot of discussion about that. There's Dean Canto getting ready. He'll take over from David Reynolds at the appropriate moment in car number 55. They're 4th at the moment. Dino's not done a lot of racing this year. Went off to Brazil. Actually got some practice in the Brazil stock cars. He was driving with his old mate Max Wilson, but he didn't actually get to have a run, unfortunately, in the race. He's a good operator, though. He's been with these blokes now for a long period of time. Year 7 with Ford Performance Racing, and most recently the last 3 years with Dean Canto in the green car.
He is a very good operator in the long-distance races. And we see the pressure now that Steve Richards is putting on Tony D'Alberto for lap after lap for the last 3 or 4 laps. He's right behind the Super Cheap Commodore. Dave Reynolds, in the meantime, we got a little view of that a second ago. He's made a lot of ground up on Greg Murphy again. I'll just give you some lap times. This lap, a 10.26 for Dumbrell, a 10.5 for Webb, a 10.9 for Murphy, a 10.8 for Reynolds. And they're all giving that inside witch's hat, the apex witch's hat at turn 6, a monstering. It's a very fast corner. You've got to use every little bit of the inside, and this is on board now with Reynolds versus Murphy right up in behind.
So remember that gap had elongated. Yep. So it's all disappeared, that fresh air again. So now David's back in with a fighting chance here. This is heading north. When they get into 6th gear up here, it's about 266 kilometres, and you'll hear the car get onto the rev limiter past this sign. It's out of breath. 5th gear. Climb the curb and try and settle both front tyres to get enough brake pressure on to slow it right down for that left-hander. It's very slow at the bottom of the hill, just 77 kilometres an hour, minimum speed in the middle of that corner, so you've got to wipe an enormous amount of pace off and not lock the brake in the process. And lots of drivers have experienced having to carry a flat-spotted tyre here for too long in a stint, because with the full fuel load on, it's very easy early in the race to make a blue.
James Courtney, you kind of don't want to talk to me because you're too busy looking at the screen, and you just said, remember what happened last year, but it is early days, but Greg is doing a great job.
Yeah, he's doing really pretty good. Reynolds is, he's in it every weekend, so he knows what he's doing. Murph's putting in good times. He's trying to look after the tyre and just look after the car, the important bits at the end. So, no, he's running pretty well. The other 2 guys have gotten away from us a bit, but there's a long way to go yet. So, good job, Murph.
I know you are very much a positive guy, but how much does the disaster of 2013 play on your mind?
I hadn't thought about it until then, but no, look,
Sorry.
I think both of us really, we had really good car speed last year, and just, everything that went wrong could go wrong, including my leg being broken. So, So now we've broken a leg now, so there's not much else we can do, and yeah, we'll just charge on. Our car's a lot better now this time of year than what we had last year, and Mer's a lot more comfortable in the car, so onwards and upwards.
Thanks, JC. Good luck for the rest of the day.
Cheers.
Dean Canto, you can see, just getting dressed here to get in the car, mate. Not a bad strategy. Davey's got it up into P4 there. Now you'll go out into clear air and get on with the job. Not bad.
Yeah, that's the plan, mate. The only thing that'll ruin our strategy is obviously a safety car a bit later on, but we thought we may as well give it a go. Fingers crossed it works for us.
I reckon if you're not going for a championship, sometimes it's good to roll the dice. Now, I'm going to use you for a model. Just while he's there, there you are, another position you just got on the road. You can see some of the apparatus he's got on here. So on here, we've got, this is his radio that'll plug into the car, his drinks bottle. There's a cool air that'll plug into his helmet. Dean will do this. This is what we call the front FHR, or front head restraint. So that in an instant, because that seat belts obviously hold that down, you see the little tethers on there. That'll stop Dean's head from going forward. And he'll plug his cool suit when he jumps into the car. Well done.
Thanks, Mark Larkham. So while that little discussion was taking place, an important move there for David Reynolds to be able to clear Greg Murphy. Greg didn't really put up too much resistance, so he was able to get that manoeuvre done. Just saw David prior to that move make a little adjustment to the cockpit anti-roll bar adjuster. So he just trimmed the car up a little bit, sized up his moment. He's worked away for the last 4 or 5 laps to reduce that big gap that appeared when he got involved in that battle with Alex Prema. Now we'll sort of see what the real pace of that car is. So here we go again. Nice, clean, easy manoeuvre down the inside into turn 1. Very slippery offline down there typically. And Greg didn't really put up too much of a battle into 1. He came back at him a little bit harder on the outside at 2. James Courtney, teammate, looking on now. Luke Gilden's also come into the pit lane from in the Lockwood Racing entry. And meantime, Stephen Richards and Tony Alberto continue their battle. And you've got Craig Baird right behind as well. So remember that Richards and Baird were at it earlier in the day in the Carrera Cup. Richo, unfortunately, the busted drive shaft. Bairdo got yet another podium. And they've got a great battle going on. So it's double duty for those guys at all of the Pertec Enduro Cup events together with the Carrera Cup. They're busy, busy boys. They're getting some laps.
It's been a fantastic start. Paul Dumbrell has done his job. He's got away. Jono Webber's with him. They're 1 and 2. David Reynolds, Greg Murphy, Alex Prema and Steve Owen. We're going to take a break. We're back with more from the Wilson Security Sandown 500 in just a moment.
We've seen the Lockwood Commodore just be in pit lane. Luke Gilden has stayed on board, so no driver change. Fabian Coulthard's still in the garage. So Paul Dumbrell, this is the man that leads the race. Car number 1, 2.6 seconds. Pit lane's about to get busy. Tony D'Alberto is in. Craig Baird will follow him in as well in that Erebus Mercedes. 40 kilometres per hour pit lane speed limit. And in the background, that's also Ash Walsh coming on in.
We're waiting.
Taz Douglas pitting the 360 Nissan. So this moves these cars out of sequence with their teammates, remember.
Waiting. You got traffic? We got traffic. Traffic coming. Go, get out of there. Go.
Each gantry services 2 cars, so you don't want the 2 cars coming in at the same time. They've had to rejack the 360 car in the background. There's a drama down there at the Norton Nissan. Major problem for Taz Douglas. They've got a drama with the refueling apparatus. They can't remove it from the car. He was about to leave, and so they've thrown the fire extinguishers at it. This is huge drama for Nissan, and it's leaking out.
Jump in and fix this hose on the passenger side.
Real problems for Taz Douglas and James Moffat.
Okay, we're going to have to clear the garage before we take it into the
This
garage.
is really dangerous. The fire attendants are there straight away.
The dead valve shut.
Real problems. Pit lane's getting busy. In the background, Stephen Richards is in. David Russell there in the Jack Daniels car comes on in as well. This is massive problem for Nissan. They can't unhook. It's leaking fuel. Stephen Richards to the right of screen. He's staying on board. Remember, the co-drivers must do at minimum 54 laps. They can, of course, do more than that if the strategy dictates. And this continues to be a problem for the Norton team. It's over and out, that car, for this race. Richards resumes. Some clear road for him to play on. Dumbrell extending the margin. 4 seconds back to Jonathan Webb now.
Guys, unhook the fuel tower.
Here is the man who leads the race. 18 laps down this time across the line, a 110.5. Jonathan Webb, a 111.4, so the margin goes out to 4.2. Of course, Port Umbrell during the week is an executive. He's travelling around the world. He's working in the office. But he's been doing the Dunlop Series this year to make sure that he's race sharp. And he says he feels comfortable in this car, even though he doesn't race full time. But it's about the racing part that's been what's helped him by doing the Dunlop Series this year. He's right among this race. He's out in front at the moment. Pit lane is starting to get a little bit of a busy place. The margin out front, 4 seconds.
The drama in pit lane, a very dangerous situation for Taz Douglas. You can just see the smoke there in pit lane. Car number 360, the Norton Hornet, with a fuel problem, Neil.
Yeah, they went through that whole go, stop, stop routine that you hear on the radio from time to time. And Matt House, the team manager down there, not happy. So what's happened, I think, as Taz has departed or gone to move, it's jammed the coupling on the dry brake system, and as a result they can't uncouple it now. Now, simultaneously with fuel leaking, they've not grabbed what's called the dead man handle, just cut off the fuel supply. So massive amount of United E85 hemorrhaging from that car at the moment, so by coupling it they actually stop it, but every time they pull it back it's leaking again. That's water in the foreground, fuel in the background. It's a very dangerous situation. Hot wheels, brakes. Meantime, Dumbrell's got a 4.4 second lead, and that was one of those pit lane confusion scenarios. We've got Morris in here as well. So the stuff that we talked about earlier, about all these little risks that come along in endurance racing, back to live pictures. And that's Morris departing. Meantime, we saw a couple of other cars come in and take stops as well. Andrew Jones has been complaining about drive issues, right rear tyre, car number 8, the car he shares with Jason Bright as well. And Paul Morris, I just caught him saying there's something weird going on with this car, so whatever is happening with that, it's not a happy motor car at the moment.
Here we go, so
they've actually had to drive the captive nut out of the wheel, stick another one in there because they must have cross-threaded. Did it sit on the drive pegs properly? I wonder if it actually sat on the locating pegs correctly. There's something going on there with the hub, and Paul's reporting that the car's not happy. Meantime, Greg Murphy is now in the pit lane in car number 22 as well. Here he is. Nice new Dunlop hard tyre. They're changing the blocker in the radiator intake there, perhaps for temperature, or for a bit of balance in the car.
So new tyres being fitted to the back of Greg Murphy's car. James Courtney looking on. And this will definitely change the balance. So I didn't see them make a change to the rear suspension, either ride height or stiffness with the spring packers. So when Murphy goes out, he'll have to wind the rear bar, the rear stabiliser bar or sway bar up heavily, and that bar will assist in getting the balance back. So when you put the fresh tyre on the back and you have used tyres on the front, in a lot of understeer. Dumbrell now in for Red Bull Racing Australia from the lead.
And I think it was 2 tyres only there for car 22. This is a critical stop, and echoing the manoeuvre, car 97, Jonathan Webb. So first 2 cars in the field in for their first stop. Oh, that's a drama. That's a drama.
So normally they put a little bit of race tape in a little mound and basically wedge the tyre so it doesn't roll away like that. So it's obviously rolled over that and walked away.
And fuel is always the limiting factor here. The United E85 going in at 3.6 litres a second. So they're able to recover that tyre. 4 tyres for each of these guys.
Interesting to see that they're using green tyres so early in the race. So this is what I just said. Normally they've got something behind it. It's rolled whatever over that.
It's a zip tie.
It's a zip tie.
A little zip tie down there, but it wasn't big enough to stop it from heading down the camber of the road there. So a couple of valuable seconds gone and the risking a penalty. This is on board here with Dumbrell, and he eked out a pretty handy little lead up to that point. Now he's got to find his rhythm again on another tyre set, which they may have altered the incoming tyre pressures, although I didn't hear him report any balance issues, Larko.
Yeah, Neil, very hard to put a full stop on this Moffat car down here, the Nissan Norton. You can see they've actually still got the coupling is still coupled to the car. They still can't undo it. They've actually had to unclamp the hose. Now, a little telltale sign, they see the damage on the car there. I just wonder if the damage is tweaked, maybe the reciprocal. Now, if you come with me, and maybe it's got jagged in there, you can see, here's another one next door. That spring pulls back when they jam into the car, and see the little black O-ring in there? It's very important that that seals. Now, for some reason, that's got itself jammed in there. It's a real odd one.
And Larko, just show us the dead man handle while you're there. Spin around.
Can I? Yeah. Neil was talking about the dead man's handle. Now, this is a guy that's not part of your 8, but you must have a man on this handle here. He must hold that open. It's spring-loaded, and once the fuel stop's done, he can just let that go, and they call it a dead man because if I donk myself on the head and I'm dead, I let go of the handle, it stops the fuel flow.
It has crossed our mind.
Yeah. Good explanation.
So David Reynolds is the leader of the race, 2-second margin over Alex Premer now. So Ford leading the Volvo. Car number 5 in 3rd place is Steve Owen, driving with Mark Winterbottom, and this is the Dean Fiore entry, sharing with Michael Caruso, car number 36. So and Reynolds is now in. So Reynolds has come in out of the lead of the race, and well, it'll be interesting to see whether they actually do chuck Dean in now and then double stint him to get to his minimum driver number of 54 laps, which I'm assuming that they will do. So they've started with their A driver. They'll do 2 stints with their B driver, and then you'll see David get in at the end. So pretty good stint there from David. Found the right moment to pull a manoeuvre, but this is one of the issues for them. Seat inserts that have got to be managed. Now, fuel protects them because it takes, in round figures, 30 seconds to get it in. But they've got very different situation with their height and their weight, requiring different belts, different seat positions. See, Dino's not even close to ready there. He's still got to get it. He's got to get the belts over the top of the hands device. He's got to get everything plugged up. So he's going to arrow out the pit lane, still trying to get himself dressed for work.
Well, and it's one of the most difficult scenarios because the lead into the pit lane is so short here. Compared to Bathurst or even Phillip Island, there's a long way before you get to the garage, and a long way on the way out. So this one's a very strange circumstance, how compact this racetrack is. And you can see Canto struggling to get organised as he returned. Big lock-up here, Neil. Massive lock-up.
Car number 97 under investigation for a pit lane infringement, which will be that runaway wheel and tyre. Though that's a monster lock-up on that front left for Andrew Jones down at 1. And there's 2 at the paddock as a result of that. So that little whole seat insert process just always works so nicely in the workshop, and then you come to the racetrack. It doesn't take much to lose a few seconds here and there, and then you're under pressure at the back end of your stop. So Dean will be starting to get himself all sorted in there now.
Just want to try and grab a quick word with James Moffat, and if you just quickly look over there, Pete, look, you can see the coupling is still coupled into the car. They can't get it undone. Hey, James, I can see you're not happy, mate. That's very unfortunate, but you know as well as I do, mate, from your dad, Sandown 500, all sorts of stuff happens, and there it is right there.
What do they say, Larko? Preparation is the key to success. We probably weren't prepared well enough today, so yeah, I'm pretty gutted. I'd sort of had some pretty high expectations coming into this weekend, so it's been a disastrous one. We can only move on to Bathurst.
All right, mate. Well, if you've got any question how competitive that young bloke is, there it is right there.
Larko, I know James Moffat was obviously very disappointed there, but this is a very strange circumstance. I've never seen the coupling get caught like that. Do you think that the coupling's actually bent internally in there? What's your thoughts?
Well, I can see the guys in. You can see they're actually in there with a little fine screwdriver, anything trying to prise it out. I mean, it's quite bizarre. It's I can't see anything other than some damage has done that.
That damage you talk about, though, Larko, actually extends much further to the right than I thought it did. So I think your theory of the contact earlier having an influence in this is actually right. So there's Andrew Jones, meantime, who's actually come in and replaced what no doubt would have been a flat spotted tyre, and Stephen Johnson is also in the lane now as well, car number 17.
26 of 161 laps down in the Wilson Security Sandown 500. We've seen pressure, we've seen drama, and there's still so much more still to come.
And this is the man that leads the way. Great news for our French viewers. Alex Premer on board. The number 33 Valvoline Volvo of Scott McLaughlin.
Great job, mate. Great job.
4 cars yet to make stops. Premer, Oliver Gavin, Cam Waters and Chris Pither are the 4 out there at the moment who run 1, 2, 3, 4. Board Umbrella is 5th on the road, but of course the effective race leader in the number 1 Red Bull Racing Australia Commodore. Great to have Alex Premer back in this championship. Full-time the last 2 years. Parted ways with GRM, Gary Rogers' team, but returned as an endurance driver. This is Alex Davison, another former full-time driver, driving his little brother Will's number 9 Mercedes, the Repco car this weekend. And we're on board with Dean Canto, now behind the wheel of the Model O 55 car. Engine upgrades for this number 9 Mercedes, not quite in time to have enough of them for the number 4 car for this weekend, as they continue to improve on their power, their drive, the drivability of that AMG Mercedes engine. Not bad under the brakes there either for the former Carrera Cup champ Alex Davison. At the moment sits in 11th. We're on board with Canto, who is 12th. Just up the road is Luke Yulden. In front of him is Steve Richards. Here, there on the exit of turn 4, pretty easy to burst into wheel spin. For this long run down the back straight, they'll hit top gear, 265 kilometres per hour over the rise of the hill. Then through this fast S's section, which does sort out the best from the rest. I'll be very careful with any overtaking move up the inside there, so the pressure is on here. The Co-Driver Cup essentially is underway because that's who's out there at the moment in so many of these cars. Just behind in the number 2 car is Warren Luff for the Holden Racing team, driving with Garth Tander. It's Warren's debut with the factory Holden squad. Won the Pertec Enduro Cup last year, paired with Craig Lowndes in car 888. Speak of that car, there it is with Stephen Richards at the helm. Canto trying to make a move here. That's risky. Contact with Alex Davison. They're both off the road. Lots of drama here at Sandown. It's lap 28 and the leading Volvo's in the lane.
There's your mega wall, and it's all happening 28 laps in at the Wilson Security Sandown 500. The old saying is pressure produces diamonds. It makes a lot of mistakes as well, and we've seen a share of both, Neil.
Race leader is in the pit lane, Mark, and this is Alex Premer. It's full fuel and 4 new tyres, and leaving the Frenchman in the car to get through the mandatory requirement of minimum laps of 54. Meantime, there was some trouble at turn 2 as well. Now, David Reynolds and Dean Canto have exchanged positions, and Dean's in the car, and he was involved in a real battle down at the southern end of the racetrack a few moments ago, and it's still going on for him out there. Meantime, the leader of the race is Oliver Gavin in car 222, sharing with Nick Percat. He's got an 8-second lead. There's only 3 cars out there yet to have their first stop, and the first car in the queue to have made a stop is obviously Paul Dumbrell. This is the Gillette Mach 3 replay of what happened down here at turn 2 before, simultaneously occurring with all of the drama that was unfolding in the pit lane as well. So that's not a good moment for Dean Canto to get involved there with Alex Davison in car number 9, the Bico entry.
Ooh, and there's no road there, is there? It's very narrow. We've seen lots of problems there over the years, and Luff was almost part of it too, Neil. Check this out. Wheel locked into the side of Davison, right across the curb. So in fact, Davison's going for the inside apex, but there's a green Falcon parked there. Right out on full opposite lock. He gets it gathered up. He just makes it so it doesn't spin. As it follows the front wheels, it then disappears across the left-hand side grass verge. In the meantime, Dave Reynolds is trying to keep his car on the road, and he almost, Dean Canto almost took Luff out on the right-hand side afterwards. So there's a bit of a moment for Dave Reynolds and Rod Nash looking on there, but anxious moments in a very intense start to this race. Only 30 laps in, 161 laps. The co-drivers have got to do 54 laps. Dean Canto has only been on board for a few laps. In fact, he got in after lap 23. Brianna?
Dave, I'm not going to say what you just said because we're on camera now, but Dave, different strategy for you guys. You're the only regular driver to start the race. What was the reason behind that?
Well, it worked for us at the Gold Coast last year. You know, I get a bit of track position. Hopefully there's no safety cars and the field spreads out. And I can get through a few people and build a gap for Dino and, you know, put him in the car, a bit less pressure further up the grid.
And he's doing a good job out there.
Yeah, he's having a race with the Davison, so that's always exciting. But, you know, they shouldn't be crashing into each other yet. It's too early for that.
You've got to tell him, you've got to get on the radio and coach him through.
Nah, he's all right. He wouldn't listen to me anyway.
Thanks, Dave. Good luck for the rest of the race.
No worries. Can I just say hi to Levi and Chili?
You can.
Absolutely, you can.
He is an idiot. David Reynolds sharing with Dean Canto. He's a card. That's funny. No breach of rules for car number 97 during the pit stop, so that's in reference to that wheel that you saw trying to make an escape out of pit lane, and fortunately the Techno crew were able to recover it, so no breach for car number 97. Race control have advised us. Cam Waters is now the new leader of the race with Jack Perkins in car number 18. Chris Pither is in second position at the moment. 2 cars in the field yet to stop. The corrected leader of the race is Paul Dumbrell.
And if you don't follow our coverage all the time, Craig Lowndes says hello to Levi and Chili, his children, every opportunity he can. Dave Reynolds just gave them another little hello and welcome.
Down the inside, Alex Premer on Craig Baird. I've heard Craig on the radio a little bit in the recent past, so I can't make out the detail, but it doesn't sound good. It just doesn't sound like he's comfortable in that car right at the moment. Looking at the back of car 15, Jack Daniels Racing, Nissan Altima being driven at the moment by David Russell. David's currently 15th in the field. We're riding with Steve Owen. Jointly earned a pole position here last year. Vastly experienced enduro driver, and in the opinion of many, should be in the full-time field. He's done a really nice job so far this weekend, slipping in. Had a podium here with Will Davison last year. It's his second year now with Ford Performance Racing. He's been both a full and a part-time driver in the championship. This was a nail-biter that did resolve itself down at turn 1. Gillette replay shows us what happened there. But Stephen Richards trying to squeak by Dean Fiore and vice versa. Cam Waters, meantime, has now come into the pit lane, and that resolves first stops for everybody, now revealing Paul Dumbrell back in the lead of the race with a hefty margin over Jonathan Webb. Tony D'Alberto's got a bit of a battle going on there. Remember, I made reference early in the race to just how hard it is to stop the cars cleanly down at that left-hander, the northern end of the circuit at Dandenong Road, turn 9. You saw 2 turning, 2 burning down there a moment ago with a lot of brake pressure, putting steering lock on and locking the inside front wheel. Bit of smoke there. You've got to be very careful that you don't put a flat spot on the tyre in that process. There's the leader, and the margin is 11.8 seconds.
Paul Dumbrell doing a great job. Jono Webb hanging in there. Greg Murphy and Stephen Richards from Dean Fiore. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll continue on this incredible, intriguing race that is the Wilson Security Sandown 500 for 2014.
Greg Murphy here, cresting the rise in car 22, just listening to him on the radio. He's more concerned about the rear of that car as this stint rolls along. Hit it back on lap 20. There's Warren Luff in 8th, Alex Davison, D'Alberto, Premer, Craig Baird. We jump back on board with the Frenchman in the Volvo. Boy, this team and this manufacturer has created waves this year. The Frenchman's in the gap. And he's through on D'Alberto, who locked up a front tyre into that corner the last time around. Alex very comfortable with this car, very comfortable with this team. Spoke to Scott McLaughlin earlier in the day. As the track grips up, more rubber goes down. He feels they're going to be stronger as this race rolls on. And the Frenchman, who's been driving in the Blancpain Endurance Series in a McLaren this year, he won a race early in the season at Monza in Italy. Looks like he's not been away from V8 racing. He stepped back in very nicely alongside McLaughlin. This car's just been off the road. Luke Yulden has run wide. His business partner, Dean Canto, picks up the spot. They've got a stunt driving school together, so maybe Luke was stunt driving through the grass there because he was just rejoining as we picked up that shot. Paul Dumbrell is 12 seconds in the clear up front from Jonathan Webb. Then it's Greg Murphy, then Steve Richards. This is Steve Owen going by Craig Baird. Now Owen is back in 12th place. He'd been running further up the front earlier on, so there's been some form of a drama with car number 5, whether it was a slow pit stop or the like. We'll get the the guys and girls in the lane to bring us some more on that a bit later. Here is car 5, Steve Owen, the two-time Dunlop Series champion, former full-time main game driver, podium finisher here last year with Will Davison, so he's swapped from number 6 to number 5, but he's still in Pepsi colours and helping Mark Winterbottom in that chase for the championship. Alex Davison here, car number 9, formerly a full-time driver last year with the Geldwin Charlie Schwerkolt team. Warren Luff a little bit wide there at turn 1. He's been busy this weekend in Porsche Carrera Cup as well as driving the HRT car. Prema through on Davison, so that Volvo is slicing through the traffic on a little bit of a different strategy to the top 2 out in front, Dumbrell and Webb. But that Volvo's a factor for the first time in.
So far, we've seen fuel spills, flying panels and runaway wheels, and we are just 35 laps down of 161. Mark Scaife, this race, you can just tell the crews, the drivers, everyone is under immense pressure.
It certainly is, Mark, and look at that. That's Luke Gilden disappearing through the grass. There's been so many mistakes. Mark Larkham spoke about it before the race, and this is the fuel problem for the Moffat Douglas car. I've never seen this ever, where the coupling is totally emerged in the body of the car, but because the car's been damaged, they can't move that. This is the runaway wheel from Shane Van Gisbergen's car with Jonathan Webb at the wheel. So that was a drama. This is the right-hand front of car 6 that had a jammed wheel nut. They had to change that wheel nut in the wheel, and then there's this. Oh, man, that's a big moment. They almost speared straight off. That was Canto and Davison. Here's the slow-mo of it. Canto across the grass on the inside, into the side of Davison. Subsequently, they're reporting, look at the faces of Rod Nash and Dave Reynolds, but they're also reporting damage to the steering of car 9 as a consequence. So we said it at the start, this is an endurance race. You have to go about it in a way where you manage the risk. The risk versus reward for 161 laps is massive, and they treated the first part of this race like a sprint race. Lots more to unfold.
And a couple of interesting things to come out of the first phase of the race for me, Mark, that car number 17 and 22, in other words, the Wall Johnson car and the Courtney Murphy car, both choosing to put rear tyres only on their cars. So clearly playing towards how they'll manage their tyres at the back end of the race, because it's going to be about what you've got to play with in that final stint of the race. Murphy is very well positioned at the moment. He's got a little contradiction going, which is typical of this racetrack. Car's got a little bit too much push for a few places around here, but he's also saying, I'm struggling with the back of the car. Now we hear that because the push will be over the top of the hill at high speed, and the back of the car will be misbehaving off this corner here, turn number 4, and also coming onto the front straight. The second gear left-handers are hard work here.
Mark Winterbottom, I can't remember a place at a race meeting where I haven't spoken to you until well into the race. Mate, Stevie Owen's having a bit of a battle out there, but I guess this is the strategy. Get your B driver in, get it done, so you can. We can expect quite a bit from you this afternoon. You've got a long stint.
Yeah, I have, but unfortunately he's not a B driver. He's an A driver, racing against some blokes who are really quick. So the first stint he started on reused tyres from yesterday, so we were going to struggle always that first stint. He's put some better tyres on, tweaked the setup, and he's in traffic now, so you can't see his true pace. But yeah, we had to get that first one out of the way, and that's one less set of tyres for how many stops you have to do, so people probably don't understand why. But we reused fronts from yesterday. They were 20 laps old, so they're going to be slower. Now we've put better ones on. He's in traffic. Hopefully the car's good, but you need some clean air to sort of get a good read.
And you're still in the championship hunt, mate, so keep it up.
Yeah, the other car's faster, so we need that to slow down a bit and us to come back faster.
Best of luck.
Thanks, mate.
Scotty McLaughlin, you're sitting here, you're trying to look calm, but the leg is twitching. You won't take your eyes off the screen. Alex is doing a really fantastic job considering he hasn't driven a V8 supercar for a long time. I know you get along with him really well, but he really is doing a great job in the Volvo.
Oh, mate, when I can understand him, we really get along really good, and I've struggled a little bit. I have to learn French and Swedish, so no, it's been good. This weekend, obviously, I was really nervous just then, and earlier on with Reynolds and that was good, hard racing, but yeah, Premrat's doing a good job, and yeah, really showing why he should be a co-driver, at least a main driver in this field.
The good thing is you'll be fluent in 3 different languages by the end of the year, so congratulations.
I try, but they're mostly bad words.
Good luck with the rest of the day.
Cheers, thanks.
Now, quick update. I was just talking to Will Davison. His brother Alex is in the car 9, the Erebus Mercedes-Benz. Quite a few dramas going on there. They've had some contact. He believes the rear of the car is bent, so that's making it difficult to drive. He's lost his dash. He's got no data or dashboard. He's got no brake lights, I think I've just heard. Now, from a driver's perspective, driving one of these cars without the information flow into the dashboard, very, very hard. Everything from rev lights to brake lock-ups, when you're pitting, what your speeds are, what your revs are, very, very difficult.
It'd be interesting to see whether they get a lap board out for them, because they've got to know what sort of lap time they're doing. They'll have to radio in each lap and make sure they half know what the speed expectation is. Very hard, as you said. There you go. You can't see the dash. No information back to Alex Davison at the moment. We also found a little bit more. When you were in the garage before, Lucko, you were talking to Mark Winterbottom about Steve Owen's performance. They used the older set of tyres, as Mark reported, but the second part of that is that Steve Owen lost some time on the in and out lap, plus they lost 5 seconds, or put 5 seconds more fuel in than the cars at the front that they were racing. So that's why he's back at the moment in 12th position, buried behind Tony D'Alberto.
Just further updating a little bit more about strategic information as well. Stephen Richards in the 888 Red Bull Racing car, sharing with Craig Lowndes, also put 2 tyres only on in that last stop, 2 rear tyres. So there's a little battle going on here between the Volvo and the Holden Racing Team entry, cars 2 and 33. Nice little battle. So things are just now beginning to settle down after that frantic start. People have got a proper read on their cars. They've got one stop done. They've had a chance to think about what they may or may not change.
So he's now just got by. So we were just talking about Steve Owen, and he needed to get by D'Alberto because he'd been running around behind him lap after lap, and that's a good move.
We're looking there at Tim Slade on the right of screen. He was in conversation with Nick Percat. Tim's the happiest I've seen him this weekend for quite some time. The car behavior's been good. The car rolled out pretty strongly. He's had good pace. And that's his car there, number 47, Super Cheap Auto. One of the 4 cars run by Walkinshaw Racing. His teammate Nick Percat sharing with the Englishman Oliver Gavin, car number 222.
Scott McLaughlin getting himself set. He'll be out in just a moment. We're going to take a break and get you back as quick as we can to the Wilson Security Sandown 500.
And although Scott McLaughlin's getting ready, doesn't mean he's going to get in the car straight away. They like to get the drivers nice and prepared, helmet on, all of the ancillary systems ready. Remember, Alex Premer was in on lap 28. We're on lap 41 at the moment, so he can certainly go further and deeper with the fuel that he's got on board. And of course, he needs to get past 54 laps, and then he can jump out because he's done his work for the day. As we jump on board with the Frenchman who lived in Australia for the last couple of years, really enjoyed the Melbourne way of life, became a massive Australian rules football fan, and has come back just in time for the finals that are on at this time of year. For those wondering, he's jumped on board with the reigning premiers Hawthorn, which is not such a bad choice. I'm sure he was completely pushed down that path, but anyway, let's have a look back here at the fight outside the top 10. Craig Baird is in the middle of it all. It's hard not to spot car number 4 this weekend because it's got a massive NASCAR-like fluoro number 4 on the side. On board here with David Russell, rejoining the Nissan Motorsport team this year. He's been driving this weekend also in Australian GT in a Lamborghini. Had a podium finish here earlier on in the weekend. Spent some time racing this year at the Spa 24-hour and the Blancpain Endurance Series Classic in Belgium. This is a really busy pack just outside the top 10, lap 42. Quarter race distance is up in the Wilson Security Sandown 500. We're approaching the 1 hour mark of this race, which last year had 3 safety cars. Race record. You're looking at a race that usually runs for just over 3 hours. And the pace that Dumbrell is setting out front is hot. He's built 17 seconds on Jonathan Webb in the VIP Pet Foods Commodore. David Russell teaming up again with Rick Kelly. Drove with Todd, he's driven with Rick before. So the Kelly boys have been handballing him backwards and forwards in between seasons. But he's a good, consistent, reliable driver with a lot of experience in Porsche Carrera Cup, in the Dunlop Series. He's a guy that they look to do the job. He's 14th at the moment. Paul Dumbrell leads the way at Sandown.
"43 laps in to the Wilson Security Sandown 500, and we have seen so many highlights already. It has just been an incredible start to this race. You're taking a look there at the Dick Johnson racing car, and good news for Dick today that Marcus Ambrose will be rejoining the competition as part of the Dick Johnson family from next year. So news for Dick Johnson, all good that Marcus Ambrose will be here, but so many highlights, Neil and Scafie.
It's a 17-second lead, by the way, Dumbrell to Webb, as we just have a bit of a look at what's happened thus far. Early on, as always in this race, it was pretty crazy in the first couple of laps. Largely got away with it. That's Oliver Gavin, the Englishman, touching Andrew Jones down there at turn 9. This is Alex Premer and David Reynolds. David was the only primary driver to actually start in the field. How they all got away with that is a bit of a modern miracle. 47 in the background there was Tony D'Alberto in strife as well. Greg Ritter is in car number 34. He's sharing Robert Dahlgren's car. There were bits flying off left, right and centre. Eventually, David Reynolds was able to clear that battle that he was having with Greg Murphy. Safety car is going to be deployed while we're looking at these highlights. We also had a problem with car 360, Taz Douglas, James Moffat, and they had a drama with the fuel nozzle and the fuel coupling. The dry brake system jammed. They cleared him to depart and then stopped him because they couldn't release it. They also had a problem at Techno Autosports, the VIP Pet Foods entry. The wheel got away. It was sitting on a little zippy tie and it rolled down the lane. They were subsequently cleared of the investigation. And so the crew's all laying up now as Paul Dumbrell immediately reacts. We've not got to our driver minimum laps of 54, but they're going to take the opportunity to get him in, process him, and second place also drops in Jonathan Webb.
Fortunate part for Red Bull is that there's a big enough gap between Paul and Steve Richards. Steve Richards is in 4th. He's at the back of the pit lane now. You can see that. So this probably won't cause too much of a problem in terms of stacking. We saw stacking, huge impact for the car that's parked there last year, and so many times in the endurance races we see it. So Richards comes straight in. The team ready with another set of tyres.
So 4 cold green tyres, as you may have heard in the background. We've got a problem for car 2. They're having to stack. So Warren Luff had to sit for a moment until Greg Murphy, James Courtney car was clear of the lane. And there's contact nose to tail, or is it just a traffic jam between Oliver Gavin and Alex Premer? This is going to hurt
ridiculous.
Alex Premer. He's actually been the only guy that's been close to the pace of the leader, Paul Dumbrell. He's giving away a calendar of time at the moment. They can't move him. They can't get him backwards. He'll end up back. He'll dead set end up at the end of the queue. That's a disaster for him and for the Volvo Polestar Racing team and the Gary Rogers outfit. Jammed in position and unable to move. So Dumbrell's bolted down the road. They've got their tyres on that car. Virtually the entire field has taken this opportunity to react. And a reminder that the co-drivers have got to do a minimum of 54 laps. That's the reason why you didn't see driver changes on this second stop. What I don't know is why the safety car at this stage.
We think it's for the witches' hats at the top. But look at Premer in the top left of screen. He's parked behind the Oliver Gavin, Nick Percat car. Percat, or that car, is stacked behind the Super Cheap car, and he can't get out. I just run into it. I just push it up the lane.
First gear
just
and
drag it up the lane. Yeah. Exactly. Because it's effectively a penalty. You might as well get penalised for shoving it up the road.
Seriously, Alex Premer here. There he is on board.
Stick it in first slot and push it up the road.
Very frustrating. Frenchman will be back in action again next week at the Nürburgring. This is the replay of the big moment. And he's going, what on earth is this all about? There is Alex, just gas it up. Anyway, so nothing he can do. Gary Rogers won't be amused by that. So that'll put him so far down the order now. It'll be remarkable. It'll take at least a couple of fuel loads to be able to try and recover from that. Gary keeps his heart rate pretty low most of the time.
Oh, it'd be fuming, Rihanna.
Scotty, I can just tell the disappointment on your face. You're standing in pit lane. I was watching you. There was nothing you could do. The most disappointing part of that race.
That sucks, but long race. But yeah, it's I I don't know, you can pull up a little bit further than that. I know he wasn't trying to screw anyone else over, but he can go a little bit further. But it's just hard. You got no lock with these cars. You can't get out. So I was a bit angry. I was telling Alex to push him, but he shouldn't do that. Don't do that.
Exactly what he should have done, Scotty.
Mark Scape was agreeing with you. Yeah. There's still a long way to go. You've got to see the positive in that.
Yeah, there is. But yeah, should have used the bumper. Oh well.
Thanks, Scotty. Good luck for the rest of it.
Well done, Rihanna. That was great to contact Scott about that because he would be fuming. Here we go. We're going to have a look at this. This is the number of cars going by as he's parked.
Well, it's not only those going by, it's those that exit as well. So, I mean, it's a disaster. But as they quite rightly point out, give it time, you might be able to recover. They do have car speed, and that's important because it made the point a little earlier that he was about the only guy out there at the moment that was trading lap speed with Paul Dumbrell. So this is a remarkable set of circumstances. So they're going to resolve the issue at the end of the back straight with the cone markers. Petter's safety car is out on the circuit at the moment. Paul Dumbrell is the leader. We're under the control of the safety car. Quick break.
And you can see the work going on. So what happens is when the drivers hit the apex point of turn 6, they knock those cones off their mounting points, and that leaves the mountings exposed. Really easy to puncture a tyre. Happened here last year. So safety car called while the workers go out to repair and replace those witches' hats at the apex of turn 6 at the end of the back straight. Gutting for Volvo. Alex Premer is back on the road. He is 13th in the queue of cars. Paul Dumbrell is the leader. Cam Waters is second. That car's only pitted the once. Then Jonathan Webb, Greg Murphy, Dean Canto, Steve Richards, Luke Yulden, Steve Owen, Dean Fiore, Tony D'Alberto is 10th, then Craig Baird, David Russell, and this car with Alex Premer at the helm. So the first safety car period of this Pertec Enduro Cup. Remember that the points awarded across Sandown, Bathurst and the Gold Coast will see the Endurance Champions crown. This has been a drama today. Car number 6 with Paul Morris at the helm, the greatly experienced former Super Touring champion. First time racing for the Factory Ford team this weekend. Had some dramas with the right front on this car a little earlier on. He's down the tail of the field. 23rd, last car on the lead lap. Alex Davison is 1 lap down in the number 9 Erebus Mercedes, and Taz Douglas. If you've just joined us, the Norton Nissan, car number 360, is out. They had a refueling drama with that car in the week that it was announced that Norton will not return as the sponsor for Nissan Motorsport next year. There is the remaining Norton Hornet with Dean Fiore at the helm in 9th place. So the field is under safety car. We have a field full at the moment of co-drivers on the track. And that safety car came some 10 laps before that lap 54, the magic number whereby the co-drivers are able to jump out who started the race because they've met their minimum. Now it crosses over, so they'll have to stay in for longer than their minimum. Just how it plays out. Everyone's in the same boat at this stage, but it's Paul Dumbrell who is up front. Car number 1 is a rocket ship today. They will need to chase this car down. Restart not too far away here at Sandown.
Back at Sandown, we're under the control of the Petters Chrysler safety car. Lap 47.161 of the Wilson Security Sandown 500. There's the safety car, and the lights are out. The field comes under the stable speed control now of Paul Dumbrell, who's running full-time in the Dunlop Development Series. Had 4 wins so far this year, 1 in Adelaide, 1 in Western Australia, and 2 in Queensland. The reason I make reference to it with some damage and was that fluid leaking from the Andrew Jones car is that he's accustomed to the restart process, Dumbrell. And this is helping him this weekend. The mileage is definitely helping. Behind him is Cam Waters. They haven't taken their second stop in the Geldwen entry. That's the reason why Cam's in there. And then in behind, in position number 3, is Jonathan Webb in car number 97 for VIP Pet Foods.
So your point's 100% there with Waters, really the only guy out of order in terms of the actual speed and position in the race right now. So Dumbrell really in front of Webb, Murphy, Canto, Richards, Yulden, Owen, Fiore, D'Alberto. That's really the top 10. So Waters the only one out of sync. So great job, Paul Dumbrell. As you said, Neil, his in and out laps have been very good. Steve Owen Similarly,
so expect to see car 8 in this lap. I'm pretty sure that was glycol, the green fluid that we could see leaking from Andrew Jones' car. And all that damage at the front has no doubt done some radiator damage. That's Oliver Gavin on the inside of him there, car number 222. He was involved in that stuff going on in the pit lane before with Alex Premer. Interesting thing about everybody coming in and reacting to that safety car is they'll gas them up. Oh, it's on here in the final corner. Oliver Gavin again involved, this time with car number 17. Stephen Johnson at the helm of that car. There's Andrew coming in, so the door skin missing. Damage to the front. He'd already made a stop for a flat-spotted front tyre. It's not been a good day so far for Team BOC. So by topping them up now, this pushes their range past lap 54. So if they get a safety car, they'll react and put the A drivers in. However, if they don't, this actually compels the majority of the field to keep running their B drivers for much, much longer. This is a big strategy change for the day.
absolutely. So the reaction from the field to take that safety car, having to leave their driver in because it was lap 43 and 44, so you've got to do 54 laps, remember. So they're 10 laps under the minimum quota, and they'll now have to do additional laps, is what Neil's saying. So that really means there's more dependence on the co-driver today than there has been for a long time.
And we're averaging, we're saying about 2 kilos per lap fuel burn, United E85, about 2.6 litres. And so the fuel range is in the order of around about 40 laps of full fuel. Usable fuel in the cars, it's about 85 kilos. So they go to work inside the Team BOC garage here. Chris Clark's got control. That's another radiator in the bubble wrap down there on the left-hand side of that shot. There it is. And so that's going to take them a good 10 or 15 minutes. But remember, I made that remark a little bit earlier in the day about trying to get to the end, being classified and getting points. That's the game they're now playing inside the Brad Jones Racing garage.
So just to recap on the Alex Premer situation from the pit stop, he come in battling for 8th before that stop. So he's currently 13th in the field. So just following what happened with the pit stop, it really cost him a net 5 positions, which is probably not as bad as we first thought.
Shane Van Gisbergen, I feel bad interrupting you. You're enjoying this restart just a little bit too much.
Yeah, there's a lot going on, but that was a pretty awkwardly timed safety car for us. We really didn't need it. We were trying to get to lap 55 to put myself in the car, but you know, we've got another set of tyres on now, and hopefully he can move forward a bit.
Exactly right. That safety car came at the worst possible time because now there's more reliance on the co-drivers to do longer laps. But Jono Webb is doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, he's definitely fast enough to mix it with whoever's in the car. But yeah, we got to get to about lap 80, I think, now or something. But yeah, just want to say hello to my dad, Simon and Max at home, and hopefully you enjoy the race.
Good luck for the rest of it.
Cheers.
And they're looking okay at the moment in car number 97. Shane is sharing with Jonathan Webb, who's been out of full-time racing since the end of the last championship season, but he's come back this weekend and made a very nice statement. We're looking at Stephen Richards in car number 888. He's 6th at the moment. We're looking rearward from the bumper of Dean Canto.
We've got so many camera angles this weekend. We've got 9 in cars, but so many front and rear shots. And this has been a great battle with Canto because when he came out, he was immersed in the traffic. He had a big dive down the inside of Alex Davison at turn 2. We've shown some vision of that contact, and now he's being harassed by Steve Richards. Just up the road a little bit is Greg Murphy in 4th. So Canto currently 5th. Steve Richards right in behind him there. And there's Premer, as I said before, 13th.
I was surprised when you read that data out. I would have expected him to have gone much further back in proceedings. Let's do a lap speed check. Paul Dumbrell, last lap, 1 minute 10.5. Only just a fraction quicker than Webb. He made most of the ground that he's got, which is 2 seconds. On the very first lap, Stephen Richards having a look down the inside of Dean Canto at turn 1. Got out of that idea. Luke Yulden's been creeping along nicely there in car number 14. Phil Keaty's engineer's just been encouraging him on the radio to find the right front and rear anti-roll bar settings. That's the Lockwood Racing entry that I'm talking about, the red and black Holden Commodore there. There he is. There's the margin, 1st to 2nd. Cam Waters with only 1 stop to his name in the Gelbwen entry, sharing with Jack Perkins, and Larry's here this weekend. His dad. They're 3rd at the moment. And they're seeing pretty good lap speed out of that car too. Greg Murphy is next, then Canto, Richards, Yulden, Owen, Fiore, and then Tony D'Alberto 10th.
And young Luke Gilden is doing a good job, Neil, and the way that Phil Keats talking to him, very important, that driver-engineer relationship and the way that you coax a young driver like that through this phase of the race, because when you change the tyres and you freshen the car up, then all of a sudden you've got to get the new balance. You've got to get the front and rear grip in line with what you're looking for as Murphy gets down the inside of Cam Waters. Lacko?
Just want to grab a quick word with Jack Perkins. Different strategy to the rest of the field there, mate. You've left him out now. It's unusual to not take a safety car at that time. I call it the Charlie Swarkolt. There's the owner there. It's the sponsorship strategy, I call it.
Look, we needed to get some track position back, and I guess don't do the same as everyone else, and might rain or something, mate. You never know. But Cam's actually got really good pace here, and the car's pretty good. We'll just try and see if we can tag this our way later in the race.
Jacko, so typical of Sandown 500, isn't it? Both you and your dad have been around them a long time. So much going on.
Yeah, there is, you know. Surprised to have only seen one safety car. Those cones might come down again, so I reckon we'll probably see another one. But, yeah, who knows? It's you don't really know where you're at until you've done your last stop, so we'll just get to about lap 120 and see what happens.
Best of luck, and, hey, Charlie getting plenty of good TV. Well done, pal.
You're a cynic, Larko. And last time they stopped that car, it was lap number 32, and our average range that we're applying to the field is 42 laps of range out of a full fuel load. That means they can get as far as lap 74-ish with that car, but it's always important for the co-driver to be in full standby readiness mode, because things happen quickly, and many a time there's been one or two drivers caught semi-dressed when a car arrives in the pit lane, and it's not a good look at the eyeball exchange between the driver and the co-driver when one isn't dressed.
Exactly, and I love Jack. He's a lot like his dad with his positivity and that. If you're hanging out for a shower of rain this afternoon, we probably should be a little careful on that one. In fact, Mark Beretta said at the start, have you ever seen Sandown with an umbrella out for shade rather than rain? It's extraordinary weather conditions, isn't it?
I don't think we've ever seen one where the weather conditions are as beautiful. It's a really light southwesterly breeze, about 18 degrees, not much in the way of cloud cover. We're looking at the back of Cam Waters' car from Dean Cando's car. There he is. Dean's in the green Falcon, chasing the blue and silver car that Mark Larkin was just in their garage talking about a moment ago. Final corner on the track. They actually count this one here as a corner, but it isn't. It's just flat. So 13 turns in total, a little over 3 kilometres. That shot gives you a graphic indication of just how bumpy it is, and just all those different surfaces that are very tricky to set a car up for. New fastest lap of the race, by the way, a 1:10.0 on that last lap for Paul Dumbrell. He's moved his margin out now to 3 seconds.
And second fastest was Webb with a 10.5, but so was Prema with a 10.5. So Prema down in 12th now was the third fastest car on that lap. So we've seen his speed early, as we saw in that pit stop drama. It cost him some positions, but his lap speed very impressive. And I can hear Richard Holway talk to Alex Prema and make sure he's not too frustrated. This is Lowndes getting ready, just hooking up the Hans device, and here's Courtney and Tander preparing also.
So 55 laps down. We haven't seen many of the A drivers in the car yet. That is about to come. This is about to take another step up. Quite amazing what we've seen already. Stay with us. It's going to be a great afternoon at Sandown.
Here's the leader. Paul Dumbrell is smashing out the lap times. He set the new fastest lap of the race. Not that time around, but the last time around, a 1:10.02. He set 2 fastest laps on consecutive laps, so the pace is really good. In car number 1, this guy's fighting for the Dunlop Series. He'll be back in action in that category at Bathurst on double duty next month. Fight here, Warren Luff and David Russell. That's a position change. Luff moving into 13th in the SP Tools back. HRT Commodore, look at the lineup of traffic. Pretty willing. David Russell, Ash Walsh is in the Wilson Security 16 car. Tim Blanchard in car 23, the black and white Commodore, driving with Russell Ingle. New livery for Lucas Dumbrell's team this weekend, just behind the Wilson Security Ford. Bit of news with that team before this round. New livery, new engine supply deal with Noonan Race Engineering, who also supply Brad Jones's team, and Campbell Little, the very experienced engineer, is on board with them to assist Brendan Hogan and what is still a very young and one of the smaller teams in pit lane. as we ride on board with the Jack Daniels Nissan of David Russell. Ash Walsh closing in pit lane again for Paul Morris. Last car on the lead lap in 22nd, sharing with Chaz Mostert. This car's been in a couple of times so far. Was in for fuel only about 11 laps ago. And Chaz Mostert now can climb in because Morris has done the minimum of 54. We should remind you, it's a minimum of 54. Don't have to yank the co-driver out after 54. Full tyre change, driver change, not in a massive rush. They don't need to be because the fuel flow is such that it will be the longest part of the pit stop. Windscreen tear-off taken away. The driver assistant being used for the endurance races by FPR.
Go, 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 go.
Chaz Mostert is into the race. His second Sandown 500 start, drove last year for Dick Johnson Racing. They are now off the lead lap because that is the leader, Paul Dumbrell. He's out in front by 4 seconds, back to Jonathan Webb.
Counting down now, Jamie Whincup getting himself set, the championship leader, last year's champion from here at the Wilson Security Sandown 500. And the first team to bring their championship driver in for the sprint to the finish line, the long run to the finish line, is Chaz Mostert, who's jumping in for Paul Morris. But we thought we'd see it all in this race. We've had a traffic jam in pit lane. We've had fuel spills, runaway wheels, flying pedals and 1,000 panel rubs. This just gets more and more intriguing. We are 58 laps down of 161.
So they've taken the tear-off away from the screen on that Pepsi Max Ford Performance racing car. We're looking rearward from the Jack Daniels Racing entry car 15 being shared by David Russell and Rick Kelly. David at the helm there at the moment on the run down towards turn 9. Hurriedly trying to find second gear down there for that 75 to 80k left-hander. And on cold tyres, just after he left the lane there, Chaz Mostert having a little bit of a drama. All of a sudden didn't have the stopping or turning performance that it did the last time that he was in the car on those cold tyres. Hasn't been a great day for these fellas, and of course what they had to do was wait until Paul Morris had cleared the minimum requirement of 54 laps. They were forced to pit under the green, which is never a good sign, and been able to stick Chaz back in that car now. They couldn't do it when that other safety car came out because we hadn't actually reached that point in the race. We've been making that point. On the subject, everybody's now done that job and cleared that requirement. The only guy that actually still got to press on is Dean Canto. Got to get him past lap 76, which is about when his fuel runs out as well. So they're actually going to have to manage fuel a little bit in this stint for the Botlow entry, car number 55. He's got a bit in the in-basket there at the moment as well. He's got a bit to do. Processing a bit of work because he's got car number 888, Steve Richards, having a big go. Speaking of big goes, car number 5, Steve Owen, locking up the inside front, turn 9.
That was very willing because they were getting past Cam Waters and that big group of cars. So it was Canto trying to do that. Then as Steve Richards got by, Luke Yulden popped out the long side, and then also at the end of it, Steve Owen. So they were all trying to get by Cam Waters.
So now Cam Waters is struggling on these older tyres, and remember he's out of sequence with the stops. Also on the out of sequence story though is Mostert, who's mixed up in all this on fresh tyres. Oh dear. Alberto down the inside, 47. Also on the last stop taken some blanking out of the brakes for the Luke Yulden number 14 car as well, and he's reporting a better braking performance in that car. So as the temperatures vary during the day and the track grip levels alter, then they're also adjusting the brakes accordingly.
Dumbrell's being told about fuel, so we'll try to pick up on the strategy of why they're so concerned at the moment about making sure they're driving it to a lap time number and a fuel number. So Dumbrell very impressive, not only with his speed, he's 5 seconds in front of Jonathan Webb, but also reporting back to David Couchy on the number that they're driving to for fuel consumption per lap. So Dumbrell, Webb, Murphy, Canto, Richards, Yulden, Owen, Waters, which again, remember he's one stop out of sync with the rest. So really Dean Fiore and D'Alberto will step up one spot. And at the moment, we've got all 5 manufacturers in the top 11 cars. Sorry, top 12 cars. Prema is 12th. Mark Dutton, David Cauchi. Brake pads in the oven.
Medium to well, thanks. You liked that, didn't you?
You're a lunatic.
Car number 3016 Fiore. He's having a good run inside the top 10. On the subject of Nissan, a funny little story here. It's the 50th anniversary of this race. It was won back in 1964 by an Alfa Romeo. One of the people behind that effort was a gentleman by the name of John Emery, well-known personality in the automotive industry in Victoria. His son, Richard, is now the chief executive of Nissan. So the Emery family have had a long, deep connection with this event. It was great to see John in the pit lane yesterday. Yeah, and also terrific for Richard to announce Nissan's extension in the sport by an additional year.
So through to the end of 2016, for those who haven't read the newspaper and seen the announcement for Nissan Motor Company, fantastic news for the Kelly boys and for all the team and all the people involved in the Nissan Motorsport project, with 4 Nissan Altimas right through to the end of 2013 with this project at the moment, and they're going very well. Dean Fiore, 9th. As I said, he's probably really 8th based on Cam Waters being in front and has only made 1 stop. There's Scott Pye, entry up behind Russell. That's Ash Walsh at the wheel.
Also keeping a bit of an eye here, Scapey, on the progress of Alex Prema from that disastrous pit stop. So he's up to 11th. He's behind Tony D'Alberto. Looking at Ash Walsh there at the top right-hand corner of screen. All the Shannon's data down there on the left, so the best thing we can do at the moment is zip it up. You crank it up, and we'll enjoy a lap of Sandown.
16 to go, mate. 16 to go. Nice work, mate. Eyes forward. Good work, Ash. Eyes forward, mate. Nice and smooth.
Well, I think we can second that. Great work, Ash. 2 spots on the circuit, the front straight, the back straight. He hits 266 kilometres an hour. It is a wild, wild ride. Hey, it's been a wild race so far, and we still have just under 100 laps still to go. Stay with us, the Wilson Security Sandown 500.
Great to ride on board with the man who leads the Dunlop series for V8 Supercars. He'll be on double duty at Bathurst in a few weeks' time with a 250-kilometre feature race on the Saturday afternoon for the development category. And of course, he'll be on duty in this car, the number 16 Wilson Security Ford. Great job from Dick Johnson Racing to repair this car after that heavy contact in the first lap of the last race at City Motorsport Park. Cam Waters here. He's another of the Dunlop Series drivers with a co-driving endurance duty job this year. First time he's been a co-driver in the Pertec Enduro Cup, and now he's in for his second pit stop. At the end of lap 64, Jack Perkins will take over this car for the run home. So nice job from Cam Waters. First time in the Sandown 500 for him. Has raced at Bathurst before as part of the Shannon Supercar Showdown reality TV program. Former Formula 4 champ will dive on out. And Jack Perkins to jump in. Remember that this is the crew that services both the Bottle and the Geldwin cars that are both run from Ford Performance Racing in Melbourne.
Nod, thank you. All right, still a little bit more fuel to go in. You've got a clear exit.
Started from position 20 for today's 500k Enduro. A little bit of a bobble there, but Jack will get back into the lane and rejoin this race. Have some clear road to play with here. And there, coming onto the front straight, is the leader, Paul Dumbrell, 65 laps down. They're second, just coming onto the pit straight, Jonathan Webb. The margin is some 7 seconds at the line that time. Greg Murphy is flying the flag for the Holden Racing Team, the former Sandown champ. His pit crew, that's Anthony McDonald in the red helmet. A little pep talk with the boys before they head back out to service those cars. Chaz Mostert here. Car 6 is 1 lap down, 22nd. Stephen Richards is in the game. He's position number 5 in the 888 Commodore. Just the one safety car so far today. But it's Paul Dumbrell who is out in front from Webb, Murphy, Canto, Richards, Yulden, Owen, Fiore, D'Alberto, Alex Prema. The Volvo is on the recovery mission. He's P10.
There's your view of everything that's happening at the opening race of the Pertec Enduro Cup. So far, it has delivered much, much more than we ever imagined. Paul Dumbrell doing a great job. He leads and he's helping out Jamie Whincup. Jono Webb sits second and Greg Murphy third.
Those track images on the top left-hand side of screen that have gone full screen there now are showing you a pretty vigorous battle, because in car number 6, Chaz Mostert is 1 lap down and doing everything he can to get by and get back on the lead lap. Andrew Jones, incidentally, has been in and out there in car number 8, and so clearing down the inside now is Mostert. So Richards didn't want to argue that case, quite rightly so. But the point I wanted to get to here was that Mostert is going as quick or quicker than Dumbrell at the moment. So he's really driving the wheels off that car, and he needs to, because he's down so far down the order at the moment. He's 22nd, but he's got to get that lap back somehow. That's the critical thing for him.
Yeah, good pickup. That was a 10.07 as the fastest lap that Mostert's done. In fact, that is only 0.05 hundredths of a second away from Dumbrell's fastest lap. So very good job, Mostert, but a lap back. So Dumbrell, Webb, Murphy, Canto, Richards, that's your top 5. This battle's been going on for a fair while here also with D'Alberto. Prema has got his way up to 10th. This is a good battle. And now also Murphy has just found a nice rhythm. They're just reporting back. I heard Rob Starr say before, well done, mate, you got yourself into a nice rhythm. Slightly faster than Webb. He's dragged that HRT car up to the back of Jonathan Webb.
And there could be a couple of factors involved in this. They may have made some changes in the stop. They might have just done something there, or they could have changed the incoming tyre pressures. Well, there's also a little bit of match fitness in this, and I think it gets downplayed. But the reality is they're not easy cars to drive at the limit. And even though Greg's vastly experienced, he's done an awful lot in this category over a long period of time, could be taking just a little while to find the sweet spot in this car.
And not only that, it's a lot longer now than you think you were going to drive for, because you're locked in for 54 laps. You're at lap 68 now, so another 15 laps effectively, and still waiting for when you're going to pull out, because this is now for the co-driver a very long stint.
And that was the point that I made earlier about that awkward safety car timing. He's going to grab him here for a spot for sure. Greg's getting more miles than Jonathan Webb, so Greg's done a lot of racing in New Zealand earlier in the year as well, and he's got a lot of racing to come. That's Rob Starr just stating the obvious there, and they need him to be able to deliver a nice clean car back to James Courtney.
So now remember, Greg Murphy, for people who follow the sport very closely, Greg Murphy, his whole career has braked with his left foot, and since he had a recent back operation, he found that in terms of recovery and to ease the back issues, that braking with the right foot from where you sit, it's much straighter in terms of the force. Braking with the right foot was much better for that. So he's actually had to change his technique and now brakes with his right foot. Check it out.
And the other two things that are really important to comment on there. One was how long it took him to get to full throttle off turn 4, which has been his complaint this weekend. And the other thing was, you see him fan the throttle up the back straight. They're having to roll out to 60 or 70% of the throttle up there so they don't smash the car on the hard cut, the rev limiter. Here he goes, looks down the inside. Jono saw him, tried to give him a bit of room. Now the crisscross might be on. A little wag from the 97 car, and Murphy gets cleanly up the inside. This will be fourth position. That footwork was very interesting. So now Greg Murphy goes to position number 2, 9.5 seconds behind Paul Dumbrell.
And the other part of that is that when you're on full throttle, you get to the rev limiter, there's no reason to be on full throttle. You're just soaking a heap of fuel for no extra gain. So he's come right out of the throttle and just rested it on the limiter rather than being hard into that hard cut limiter. Larko?
Down here with Will Davidson, car 9. We saw the car cycle through the pit lane twice, Will, trying to fix the dashboard. You had no information on the dash, which we'll show you in a sec, but it's a lot of stops, mate, to try and just, fix information flow.
Yeah, you're right. I haven't really got the full lowdown as to what happened. Obviously, it was coincidence that when Canto hit Alex, obviously got a little bit of damage in the right rear, but just happened to somehow dislodge a sensor or where all the data communication relays to the steering wheel, and he lost all information. But he was still doing a great job with no shift lights, no dash, and we were maintaining our 10th position. So there was an issue trying to fit the steering wheel. It's not something you do every day back at the workshop, and we had to come through twice, so really unfortunate.
Right, thanks. Well, there's a quick look at the steering wheel. This is the one that came out of the car. You can see there's a quick release mechanism on the back. You push that, and on the front there you can see the flow of information, obviously all the dials, but in here there's a whole raft of information. Lap time's probably one of the most important one. You've got to stick to a lap time. You need to know what it is. That's where that information comes from.
We just saw Cam Waters come in and hand over the Geldwin Ford to Jack Perkins. Congratulations, Cam. That was your first laps in the Sandown 500. You managed to stay. You were on an alternative strategy, but you were staying up the front and your pace was running with the front guys.
Yeah, it was actually quite good at the end. I was on an older set of tyres compared to everyone else, so made it a little bit hard to run with them. They just had a little bit more drive than me, but yeah, managed to stay up the front, and yeah, it was all right. Handed back to Jack in an okay position, I think, but we'll know at the end of the race if it worked or not.
Thanks, Cam.
Thank you.
6th in the Dunlop Series year to date. 1 win at Winton for Cam Waters. And he's getting some valuable kilometres, and he was driving very nicely out there, so it's been a good stint. And his teammate, Jack Perkins, bit of a moment for him. As soon as he went out there, scampered over the top of the curbing and picked up some grass. Gillette replay shows that story. So here's the progress of car number 33. These blokes have been at it. So remember I talked about the fact that Prema was slowly starting to recover. He is. So he's up to 9th now as a result of that move over Tony D'Alberto. And that's a good speedy car there. And if you get another load of fuel and nothing else goes wrong, you'll see it a little bit later in the day. It's going to be pretty competitive.
And remember, Prema was 8th. He went back to 13th, now back to 9th.
All right, our leader, Paul Dumbrell from Greg Murphy, Jono Webb, Dean Canto. The Wilson Security Sandown 500 continues right after this.
And we're on board with that very distinctive S60 Volvo down the back straight. A return to this race for Volvo. 20 years since one of the Swedish machines has been in the Sandown 500. Back then it was an 850 T5 production car. This is a heck of a load faster today, and it's got a very pacey Frenchman on board. World credential, GP2 star and Formula 1 tester. Former V8 regular. There's Greg Murphy, second in the race. Webb is now under a little bit of pressure from the lapped car of Chaz Mostert. He won't fight. There's no need to. Let Chaz go. He's desperately trying to get back on the lead lap. He's 11 seconds behind Paul Dumbrell, who leads the way. Lap 73. We're closing in on half race distance, just up to 1.5 hours of racing. And on this target, we might end up with a race record because we've only had the one safety car appearance, and the record was set a couple of years ago with 2 safety cars. The pace has been pretty hot today. It's Dumbrell by 9.8 seconds as we climb aboard with young Ash Walsh, the Ipswich driver from Queensland. He's chasing Warren Luff in 11th in the red and white Factory Holden Racing Team Commodore VF. This was a brand new car actually last time out at Sydney Motorsport Park. And the car we're on board with is a new car in a way because it's been given a major birthday and rebuild since an accident in the last round in Sydney. Dick Johnson Racing have 2 cars in this race. The second, with Stephen Johnson at the helm, is in 18th at the moment. There's 20 cars left on the lead lap. The last of them is Alex Buncombe for our international viewers, the Englishman in the Nissan Carnival 7. In the Battle of the Brits, Oliver Gavin's winning. He's 19th at the moment. Buncombe's right behind him on the road. They're the last 2 cars on the lead lap of this Sandown Endurance Classic. Luke Youlden here. He's been on the podium before. The endurance races have been tough for Brad Jones Racing in the last few years. This car, well placed. Position 6, lap 74.
Brad Jones Racing is celebrating their 200th round start this weekend, and they'll be very happy with the job that Luke Youlden is doing. He started from position 10 on the grid. He's up to P6 at the moment and not far away from handing that car over to Fabian Coulthard.
He's done a very good job. So he's 18 seconds from the lead of the race, and there he is. He's got a advanced driving and stunt driving business that he owns with Dean Cantor. They're expanding that business. It's his 15th Enduro campaign. And, he's a new dad, by the way, a 3-month-old little girl, Talia. So congratulations to the family there. So he's been a busy boy in the recent past. He drove a little Fiat in the 12-hour at Bathurst earlier in the year. So there's a contrast. That was a moment.
That was a massive slide. Now, we come off the end of the curb. It looked like he was going straight across into the guardrail. He's really battling at the moment, Webb. 11.3 on that lap. Canto at 10.8, so 0.5 of a second. Canto now into position 3.
Fabian Coulthard, Luke Youlden spends his days being a stunt driver, but today he's been very cool, calm and collected and doing a very nice job for you.
Yeah, look, he's done a fantastic job. He's probably done a few more laps than anybody would have expected at the start of the race, but he's doing a great job. My car's in good hands, so I'm looking pretty good so far.
We're counting down the laps. As you said, the co-drivers have done more laps than what you guys would have expected, but you're about to get in the car.
Yeah, look, it's not far away. Look, it could be any time now. Obviously, they've done their minimum co-driver laps, so I've basically got to be ready. I've been here since lap 55, so it's getting a bit hot and stuffy under here, but it's all right. Looking forward to hopping in the car.
Thanks, Babs.
It was hot and stuffy inside the cabin of car 16 there coming down the hill, because Ash Walsh had a massive tank slapper. He only just got it under control at the bottom of the hill. I thought there was going to be a catastrophe up there. Have a go at this. He's got Dean Fiore attacking him. So it's the full speedway car all the way down, and because he's out of his normal rhythm, he can't stop it on the dirty side of the road. He managed to gather it up, so gone wide, catches the curb, that flicks it the wrong way. So it's the full S-bend. And then Tom's a message to the universe with some smoke and a bit of noise in the background as well. So that was ugly. He was involved yesterday in a bit of an incident with Taz Douglas at turn 9. They added time to his sprint for the grid race. Remember, he had that big shunt here last year, Ash. That was a bit nasty, but that was a scary moment for him. But fortunately, he got it all straight and sorted again at the end of it.
I reckon that went on for about 300 or 400 metres. He was out of control at the top of the hill, and then finally got it under control at Dandenong Road. So big moment. There's Dumbrell. They're not far away now. Probably only 4 or 5 laps from getting out of the car. So Dumbrell will now be told to get on with it. In fact, his lap on that time, there's a 10.9. Murphy an 11.7. Canto a 10.9. So Murph, not a really good lap, that one, but that may have been because Mostert was coming by.
So the way the fuel windows work and the fuel range works, within another lap or so, Dumbrell's in a position to take a stop, but they'll be carefully monitoring fuel flow. They don't want to stand still for too long in there at Red Bull Racing, but he can go as far as lap 85, 86, depending on the precise nature of their current fuel burn, Larko.
Yeah, just wanted to show you. We're going to be down here for the pit stop down here at Lockwood Racing when it happens in a moment. But some of the things they're going to do, obviously, they're going to put tyres on. While I was here, there's a racing tyre. That's 10 kilos. Tyres 10 kilos. That's 20, by the way. There's a road car tyre. We crept that out of the back of the Conqueror. You can see sometimes it's just nice to see them next together, isn't it? There's the Comparo. Lots of tread, no tread, slick, and a lot wider, a lot more grip. Obviously, your fuel cells around here. Here's the drinks. They'll see them top up. They'll plug that into the window of the car. I see here some dry ice. That'll get topped up to keep the cool suit dry. Over the back here, we've got pads ready to go. So hang around and we'll have a full look at a pit stop when they come in very shortly.
Thanks, Larko. Good information there inside the garage at Team BOC. It's been a tough day for those guys. Problems in car number 8. Unfortunately, they're part of the highlights packages so far. Paul Dumbrell, as I speak, the reason for the hesitation in my voice is he's just now giving them a full debrief on the car as he prepares to get in. Oh, someone is in strike. I lost it, I think. I think it might have been. I saw the car get crossed up. No, it's the other car, 5. I apologise. It's car 5. I saw it get crossed up and we heard the yelp in the background. That's costly.
This is championship changing stuff because that's going to put Owen back. We'll give you a number now. He's currently 15th.
Yeah, let me know if you've got a tyre go down or something.
So there's Tim Edwards looking on. Remember, Dumbrell in the lead car with Whincup, currently leading the championship by 135 points. 300 points on offer today. Owen now back to 15th. He was battling in there at the back of the top 5 with Steve Richards, Jonathan Webb and Yulden. They're in that group. Just locked the rear brakes. I said earlier in the day that the brake balance, he actually caught a little bit wide. He got the curb and up onto the grass.
I saw it go wide. Then once you hear the yelping, you know you're in strife. But that was awkward for him. And unfortunately, the curbing up there just sucks you into that position. He's lucky he didn't end up wiping it along the fence.
So the curb on the outside, you use the curb on the outside between 3 and 4 as a bit of a motocross berm. The car slides off the change of direction. He used all the curb and then he only ran over it, caught the grass and gone. So Grant McPherson now talking to Mark Winterbottom. He's going to come in.
Okay, mate. This lap, driver change. This lap, driver change.
So he's heard that and responds, uncouples the hose. And confirms that he got the radio message. That will have rattled him just...
Yeah. Disappointed finish for his stint because he's actually driven quite well.
Now we're also going to see car number 22 in. Rob Starr's just called Greg Murphy. It's been a good stint for Greg. They finished 5th together in the race last year, he and James Courtney. So you're going to see the HRT car come in together with this car. Dean Fiore in 2 for car number 36, Norton Hornet. There it is in the background.
Neutral in the box. Come in and stop on the bar.
So this is Mark Winterbottom in.
Radio now, thank you.
There's Frosty. Scopey just set up the situation in the championship for him. They qualified well. That little moment was scary. It's put him in the mid-pack. They're going to get him out, get another set of tyres on, and fill her up.
The good thing is we've seen Mostert on fresh tyres really very fast. Other than Dumbrell, the next fastest car. So now Mark Winterbottom has to respond. He has to forge his way forward. Look at the intensity on his face. A little bit of assistance there. He's got to get the belts done.
Free to go when it drops. No more water. Free to go. Go.
Yep, he's latched that.
And he's multitasking there, so drops on the road. He launches, couples up the air, down goes the visor. He's in attack mode.
Quite clear behind Coulthard. Clear behind.
Greg Murphy show this one too. And swapping now with James Courtney. And a bit of dry ice going in there as well into the passenger side of that car for the driver Kuntsu. So they've got the box open there. Good stop. So they're doing pads. Do not pump the pedal.
Okay, pump the pedal.
They need brake pressure now.
Nod your head. Yep, got you.
Yep, he's got him.
Pedal. Go.
Got to make sure you've got that brake pressure before he gets down to turn 1.
Make sure you've got a pedal. Green ID light off. Green ID light off. Cold tyres. Make sure you've got a pedal, mate.
Great stuff, Rob Starr and Anthony McDonald. 2 guys communicating there with James Courtney.
36. Pit lane penalty for a pit stop infringement. Black flag, 36.
So Cam's race control message you heard from Tim Schenken there. Pit lane penalty there for car number 36, Dean Fiore. They've just done a stop, so something weird has happened there. Dean Canto's in as well, so now it's all happening. We're going to get all the primary drivers in the car. Spinning wheels is the word that we're hearing for car number 36. This is Dean Canto.
It's great to have this coverage of the in-car vision Remember, Canto's got the dicky seat.
Yep. A lot of time involved in that process, and then another one goes in.
It's not in there properly. It wasn't positioned properly.
We are 12 down. I want a full tank here, Aaron. Okay, we're 18. We're not far off, Dave. Not
Dave Reynolds gets the cool suit hooked up. Air to the helmet. He's very composed, Dave, with that. He's done a very good job. Go. He's right. So this is Fiore now Caruso doing his drive-through.
So that's full fuel, usable fuel in the car's about 109 litres. There's about 3 litres left in the fuel lines and in the engine. And we're hearing there may be some spinning wheels involved in the stop for car number 55 as well for Bottle Racing, Rihanna.
Yeah, definitely. Car 55, unfortunate for them, they were spinning wheels while the fuel was going into the car, so you expect a penalty coming for them.
Oh, no, what a shame.
Seriously.
So that's going to be a drive-through penalty for 55, and they've been competitive today, haven't they?
Black flag, car 55, black flag, car 55.
So that's Tim Schenker from Cam's Race Control notifying car 55 of that infringement. They won't be happy with that at all. Brake pad change here for the VIP Pet Foods Commodore Shane Van Gisbergen to get on board now. Jonathan Webb's done a great job all weekend. He struggled there in those last few laps, so Van Gisbergen. And we're also seeing, I'm not sure whether that's Dahlgren, or we'll just check that. Yeah, that's the Dahlgren car.
Green light off, please. Green light off. Green light off. You're clear.
So, hectic work in pit lane. Just gets out in front of Tim Slade. Dahlgren gets out in front of the penalty incurred, 55. Doing a run through. Dave won't be very happy with that. They've been very fast. They were on for a top 5 position for sure. Van Gisbergen drives out, warms the tyres up. And straight away Slade has a little look down the inside on cold tyres and on warm tyres. Garth Tander straight by. So Tander makes a spot on Tim Slade. He'll be looking to get down the inside of Van Gisbergen. He needs to get a better run out of here. Warm tyres will help.
And it's always about that opportunism. So this is Prema and McLaughlin. We've detailed their troubles during the day. So early in stints, when people are getting sorted, getting tyres up and all the rest of it, is when you've got to try and make things stick, make them work. Is that window net up properly? Or is that it? Actually, it might be it. Looking at that, it is located at the front. It's very low in the car, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's not tensioned at the top either, is it? So it's a bit strange. So each of the teams have their own mechanism of how the window net hooks up. The same thing with the radio, the drink tube. Here we go. So this is the battle, and Van Gisbergen runs wide. He does a bit of rallycross. Tander gets by on the inside. That's cold tyres versus warm tyres. Early lap mistake. First lap out for Van Gisbergen. Got away with it. Normally, if you make the grass there, you make the fence.
888's in, car number 888. So Stephen Richards handing over now to Craig Lowndes. It's been a good solid stint from Stephen. In his debut for Repco Racing Australia.
They've chosen to have a driver assistant. That's
they're
rear.
making a change to that car, so they've actually put the incompressible jack stubbies in there to make the car safe to work on.
That will stiffen the back of the car.
Waiting for the other one.
Green tyres.
Waiting for the other one. Still clear, mate. Still
United fuel flow there on the left-hand side of your screen. Just over 100. 103.9. Lucko?
Yeah, I'm down here at the Lockwood team. They're about to conduct a pit stop. Now you can see Chris has just run up. He's going to clear the way for the car to come through the Techno pit. That's good communication. Now, we've talked about it before. Fabian's ready to go. Look at the red line on the ground. There's only 8 guys here on this side of the line. We've got fuel man, we've got 4 tyre men, we've got spike man, and we've got the car controller. He can't do anything. He can do a couple of jobs. I'm going to get out of the way. You can see on the ground, these guys are going to do a brake pad change. There's the dry ice over on the side here. Dave, if you look over to the right there, you can see they're going to shove that in the window to keep the cool suit cool. Now, let's watch this. Now, I know these guys have got to put about 30 seconds of fuel in. They reckon they can do a brake pad change in about 25. Let's watch. So, this is very, very hot stuff. In goes the calipers. Now, that's to push the pistons back. Pistons back, pistons back. Worst thing that can happen now is when they do the driver change, if the driver puts his foot on the brake, that's really bad. Okay, new pads in, tyres on. Fuel will be the last thing. Perfect, well done, boys.
If you're selecting a gear, keep your foot on the brake. Got a clear exit, go, go, go,
And again, what they'll do, now that that stop's done, the boys won't rest, they'll go straight in. Very first thing to do is get the hot pressures off those tyres, because by reading what hot pressures you've got, you know what cold pressures to put in at the next stop.
Well done, Lucko. That was a great stop, wasn't it? BJR did a really good job with that. You can always tell great stops by the composure, the way that it happens nice and slowly. This is the benchmark team.
And last year, this caused the drama. Remember the wheels spinning? So Dumbrell out, Whincup in.
You've got to make sure you put it in neutral, which is what didn't happen last year.
Pad change for these guys as well. They want good brake condition for the back half of this race. And this is Jamie into the end.
Right front, stop, pump that pedal please, mate. Clear to go when we drop you. Clear to go.
We've got a trouble here also for Todd Kelly's car 7 down at Dandenong Road, is it? Or at the final corner. So last corner it is actually for Todd Kelly as Jamie departs. Todd's down in 21st.
You can see the more warming tyres up as Whincup comes back out. So this is the Todd Kelly issue. Sideways, gets it down into Dandenong Road, has a problem here, gets it turned in just in front of Lee Holdsworth. That was very close. We've seen a lot of cars in the recent past straight lining that little chicane from turn 6 down the hill to turn 9, and then this is what happens. Here's Holdsworth, and he gives him a bump, turns him around, and puts him into, I thought he was going to go on the guardrail. He didn't go into the guardrail. Todd rescues that just before the fence on driver's right.
So watching on there in the Red Bull garage, Stephen Richards and Paul Dumbrell. All of the championship drivers are now in control of the cars. We are set for a fantastic finish. We're over halfway, the Wilson Security Sandown 500 for 2014.
And the champ is on board. Jamie Whincup is now in car number 1. He leads the race, 8 seconds clear of James Courtney for the Holden Racing team. So the two Holden Giants will go head-to-head at Sandown. Whincup just tightening those belts. Now, turn 1. Lap 88. We've just gone past halfway not too long ago. Can Whincup and Dumbrell become the first combination to go back-to-back at Sandown since Dick Johnson and John Bowe in 94 and 95. They're looking good today. Jack Perkins is 3rd on the road. Remember that car. It's a bit of a different pit stop cycle strategy. Chaz Mostert, who was a lap down, is 4th. Speak of the Devils, here they are. They're fighting at the moment. Lowndes is next on the road. Coulthard, Tandevac, Gisberg and Slade. And Scott Pye is the top 10. As it sits, 19 cars now on the lead lap. The last of them is Nick Percat. Update for Volvo fans. Scott McLaughlin's 11th. Mark Winterbottom now on board. Car number 5. Second in the championship is 12th. As it sits at the moment. Remember that the Jack Perkins 18 car has stopped twice. There is a compulsory minimum of 4 stops in this race. Which just evens out a little between all of the different manufacturers and their engines. Some a little thirstier on fuel. It means everyone's got to stop the same number of times, and that is indeed what Jack Perkins is doing.
You there, Jackaroo, mate. Come in, stop on the mark. You're going to come around the BOC car.
So there, Andrew Jones is back in pit lane. The VOC car that had a radiator replaced earlier on. It is some 19 laps down at the moment, and the last runner in 24th. They're just trying to be classified to get a handful of points for Jason Bright. Back on board here with the Battle of the Scots. McLaughlin chasing Pye. Pye is 9th, McLaughlin 10th now that Perkins has visited pit lane. So the Volvo has got some pace, but he's 31 seconds off the lead up, which is Jamie Whincup approaching the 2-hour mark at the Wilson Security Sandown 500.
Not far over halfway in the Wilson Security Sandown 500, and Steve Owen's spin at turn 4 has been a hiccup. in Mark Winterbottom's fight to regain the championship lead. He's sitting 12th at the moment, but Jamie Whincup and Paul Dumbrell, they lead so far. Car 1 performing very, very well. Larko is with Paul Dumbrell.
I am, but before... No, stay turned around, Paul. Look at that. I just noticed before I do that, he's got his suit full of padding there, so you don't have to use the dicky suit. That's very clever, mate.
I wouldn't like someone touch my rear end as much as you made before, so...
There's nothing in it. Mate, great first stint. I bet you never thought when you got in the car you're going to be in it for 87, 88 laps.
I know, geez, I've done half the race, going to speak to RD to see what my contract says. No, it was really good, obviously, how the strategy played out just meant that we had to sort of do that extra stint. And it was really good fun. The car was good and it was very, very strong. But, you know, really now it's really going to see who's got the best car for the end of the day, the main guys in the cars.
I reckon you've done a great job. Just stick with me for a sec, Rich. One of the things we wonder a lot about is how you manage tyre degradation on full tanks of fuel. And the little thing these guys have got over here, I'll get in trouble off Roland Dane, but that's nothing new. They've got these little tuning devices. See, they shove them in between the springs in the car, so that fits nice in between a spring. And by doing that, you shorten the spring effectively, and you stiffen the spring by doing that. You put those in the rear of the car, take them out, you can tune it on the fly. Very clever.
Jonathan Webb, who would have thought coming into this weekend you haven't driven a V8 Supercar since last year?
No, it's been a while. Yeah, Homebush was the last time I've driven anything, so you can go around and around as many times as you like in practice, but you know, nothing counts when it comes out here today. So it hasn't been ideal. We got a really good start. Car was great in the first stint, and then I think we just got the pressure slightly wrong for the second run, and unfortunately I didn't realise until the end, and the next set were the same. So it was a really tough middle. We dropped a lot further back than what we hoped, but fingers crossed we got it right now. Shane should have a good car and can push on to the end.
And the good thing is, little Juddy over here, he was really excited that whole stint, as you can see.
Yeah, I think we need to work a little bit on him to try and keep him awake next time around, but that's all right. At least it stops him from screaming.
Thanks, Jono. Good luck with the rest of the day.
Thank you.
Rihanna Shane Van Gisbergen now sitting in 7th. Jamie Whincup leads from James Courtney, Chaz Mostert, Craig Lowndes, Fabian Coulthard and Garth Tander. We're back soon.
Just hearing from pit lane, or from Cam's race controller, I should say, that there will be a pit lane penalty given to Lee Holdsworth, car number 4, for an infringement. He's 16th on the road at the moment, 48 seconds off the lead. The important thing to mention about Van Gisbergen, as Jonathan Webb just referenced, he's just done the fastest lap of the race last time around. The first man in the 1 minute 9s in this race, 109.9. There he is. He's closing on Garth Tander for 6th place, and he's just done another 1 minute 9.9, I should say. So his pace is very good. We saw Jonathan Webb really struggle later on in his stint. The rear grip of that car went away. Looks like they might have tuned it up a little better. Can he keep it rolling through the stints and push his way forward? Holdsworth taking that pit lane penalty that we spoke of for the contact earlier on with Todd Kelly that put the number 7 Jack Daniels Nissan off the road. So this is a tough break for Erebus, because their other car with Will Davison now at the helm is a lap down and 23rd after those dramas that they had with the lack of information and the attempt to try to fix it. This was what happened. Holdsworth down the inside, all 4 over the curb, and then contact with Todd Kelly that sent car 7 off the road. Todd has rejoined. He's a lap down and 20th at the moment. Up front, Whincup leads. It's 8.5 seconds, the margin. Back to James Courtney. Here is Fabian Coulthard. He's P5. Tander is with him. Van Gisbergen is catching them both. Garth with the lights ablaze. A move at turn 1. It's on. He's in. He's got it done. He's never been on the podium for the Sandown 500. 4 times. He's finished 4th. That move gets him to position number 5. And puts 2 Holden Racing Team cars in the top 5. They are coming on strong in the V8 Supercar Championship, a revitalised team this year under new team boss Adrian Burgess. Slowly but surely have been developing and moving forward. They're not back yet, but they've got the boat turned and it's pointed in the right direction. It's pointed at the podium. It's pointed at Red Bull. They're chasing Jamie Whincup. He's 8 seconds out in front, lap 94.
Well, right now, Mark Winterbottom is the man on the mission. He is clawing his way back. He's up to 11th right now. after Steve Owen spun at turn 4 late in his stint. Now, Frosty is in his 150th championship round, and guys, fair to say this is fairly crucial to his championship, the outcome of today.
And this is crucial as well because Tander's got through on Coulthard after that mistake at the top of the hill for Fabian. There's a bit more to the story because Fabian's been complaining about high-speed understeer up there, so that the understeer was what created the drama for him down through the S's, and that ultimately ended up in a positional swap that had Garth Tander in front of him. We're still seeing this charge from car number 6 as well. They've got great pace in that car with Chaz Mostert now in the helm, at the helm, taking over from Paul Morris. So it's Whincup from Courtney, and James just in the recent past has been a whisker quicker than Jamie Whincup, but Jamie's got the cushion.
Currently 8.6 second lead, Whincup to Courtney. As you said, Mostert's been very fast. He's done a great job to forge his way back towards the front, get himself back into a position to be on the lead lap. Rihanna?
Steve Owen, it was a tough way to end what was a really competitive stint. Just talk us through what happened towards the end there.
Yeah, I was just on the radio talking to Shippy and just trying to determine what we're going to do with the car. The car's not nice, and just run out of talent. Basically, couldn't do 3 things at once. So it was a shame because it made a tough day even tougher.
Thanks, Steve. It's a long way to go, but you know, obviously the car is. What you said it was difficult, but there is pace in the car.
There's a little bit of pace. We're having to hang on pretty hard to do it, but still in the top 10. We lost a couple of spots with that, but still a long way to go.
Thanks, Steve. Good luck with the rest of the day.
While all this has been going on, there was also a pit lane drive-through penalty for Lee Holdsworth, car number 4, for the contact that he had with Todd Kelly, where we saw the stricken Jack Daniels car on the side of the road at turn 13. So Lee's now been through the pit lane. And here is car number 5, Mark Winterbottom. We made reference to him a moment ago. He's got a bit of a margin to find Scott Pye. There he is up the road, on board with Frosty. He's clear of Rick Kelly. Pye's in the distance. He's starting to work his way towards getting back into the top 10.
So Whincup leads the championship also. 135 points to Mark Winterbottom. Winterbottom, as we said, 11th. He's got roughly 65 laps to get his way back towards the front. Who knows in terms of safety cars to bunch this field up, but at the moment, this man, Whincup, with a 9-second lead. And this, I'm going to show you the gap because it's hard when we talk 9 seconds. I'm about to show you what that gap looks like in terms of the relativity on the racetrack itself. There's Whincup gone through, and there's Courtney, who's been doing a good job. He's very close to the lap time that Whincup has been doing. We're now looking for Mostert on the road. There he is. There's Lowndes. Remember, Mostert's out of sync. There's Tander, who's done a good job to get by Fabian. Shane van Gisbergen now making ground. There's Slade, McLaughlin, Pye and Winterbottom. That was the top 11 cars.
Alex Prema, someone I've been keen to talk to. We firstly heard some colourful radio messages early in the race. And then, of course, in the pit lane, wow, you must have been so frustrated.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely, especially in the pit lane, yeah, because we lost like maybe 6 or 7 spot grid, but at the end it's racing. I mean, I couldn't do more than what I did. I was trying to push him, but if I would have pushed more, I would have destroyed first my bodywork, and yeah, I think I would have turned him around in the pit lane, so I think it would have been worse for all of us. So, but anyway, I think the car was pretty good. I did pretty good stints, or 3 good stints. Overtaking maybe, I don't know, honestly more than 15 cars, yeah, it was pretty good. I really enjoy to drive that car, yeah.
And great to see you back here driving it.
Sound on the racetrack is amazing, yeah. Thanks, guys.
Hey, Larko, it's been great to have Alex Prema back as well. I know Gary Rogers has been really thrilled with the way he's driving, being back in the car for these Enduro rounds, the Pertec Endurance Cup. Good stuff. So many highlights so far, so many more to come. Stay with us, the Wilson Security Sandown 500.
And we're on board with Scott McLaughlin, the man who has made Volvo cool again. A couple of wins this year, Bubba Gallo in Perth, one at Sydney Motorsport Park. And what was asked about how they would go joining the championship, and they've gone very well.
Rear right high to be better than the other option.
Richard Holway, engineer on the phone.
Yeah, definitely. It's better. still need more. Just, yeah, worried about that traction now. Not bad.
Ninth at the moment. They worked hard on getting this car to look after its rear tyres over a long race run. That's where it was weak earlier in the year. It's had a very good record here at Sandown the last couple of years. Has finished in the top 10 the last 2 years in a row. Getting ready for a pit stop down at Pepsi Max Crew Ford Performance Racing. Chaz Mostert's car was last in on lap 56, so he's gone 41 laps, and here is the man. He's third on the road. This will be pit stop number 4. But of course, he won't be able to get home from there. But he'll need a short, sharp splash of fuel to come home, so it'll be a 5-stop strategy after early on they had some dramas with Paul Morris at the helm. So don't count this car out to contend with it a little bit later on with that pit stop that it will need with less fuel to come on board. So what that means is it puts Lowndes now to third, Tander to fourth, Coulthard, Van Gisbergen, Slade, McLaughlin, Pye and Winterbottom. That is the top 10 here at Sandown. We're approaching the magic number, lap 100. Just the one safety car so far today. Brake pad change for car 6. Those big pliers being put in to push the pistons back into the calipers, get the worn pad out, put the nice big chunky and thick brake pad, brand new, in there as well. A lot of teams have them in the oven to make sure they're as warm as possible. Pump the pedal to get it back to the surface. So he can do its stopping job. Windscreen tear off gone. Chaz Mostert back into the race. He'll tap that brake pedal to get it nice and hard for the stop at turn 1 when he gets down there. There's James Courtney, second, 9.4 seconds behind the leader, Jamie Whincup. We're on lap 100 of the Wilson Security Sandown 500.
Lap 100 of 161. This is Chaz Mostert, who's just come in from third position. The reason he's third, he's been steaming back through the field after taking over from Paul Morris, but he's got 2 stops to process. This is one of them. They're doing pads, as you can see, as well. They're also going to yank the tear-offs away from the screen because he's been complaining of obstructed vision in that car as well. So he's got another stop to go, but he's out of sequence. What they desperately need with this car at the moment is another of the Petters Chrysler safety car. They have to grab both those tear-offs, so he's got no more left. As we go back here to Jamie Whincup, he's got a 9.4 second lead. So if we do get the safety car, Mostert could be a factor. He needs it. He's got car pace. He doesn't have track position as a result of that stop. He's now down in 20th. So Whincup at the moment, trading punches with Courtney for fastest laps of the race. It's turning out to be a very curious battle between Red Bull Racing and the Holden Racing team at the moment. Here's the highlights thus far of race number 29. We've seen plenty of stuff going on. Double stacking in the pits. We've seen the customary mistakes. This was so frustrating for Alex Premer. He went to depart. He had Ollie Gavin, car number 222, just in front of him. When Ollie did pull forward, he was able to clear it. He didn't lose as many spots as we thought. Mark Scaife had some data on that. He dropped back to 13th. He dropped 5 spots in the process. It's been an interesting race, but nobody at this stage has really been able to throw a glove on Jamie Whincup. And inside the garage at Dick Johnson Racing, they've had their ups and downs as well. But a perfect performance by Paul Dumbrell. No issues for him. These guys have been talking to the drivers of car number 1 about regulating fuel mileage and lap speed. It was a moment for Jack Perkins when he got in the car in the Geraldwin entry. Great battle going on between cars 22 and 97. This was a huge moment for Ash Walsh. Talked about it a little bit earlier. It was a giant tank slapper and a moment that went on forever for him. Unfortunately for Steve Owen, as you heard in the interview before the break, he was in conversation with that man there, Grant McPherson. Couldn't do 3 things at once, talk, drive and manoeuvre, and got caught out, made a little mistake and spun. Anthony McDonald there just organising the guys at the HRT for a pit stop for James Courtney and Greg Murphy. Greg's done a nice job today. Got up as high as second. Spinning wheels for car number 55. Dean Canto, David Reynolds entrance, dropped them down the order. They're 12th at the moment. Big moment for Shane Van Gisbergen when he came back on under pressure with cold tyres. Todd Kelly had one of those moments as well. And unfortunately, that contact between Lee Holdsworth and Todd Kelly resulted in a pit lane drive-through penalty for car number 4. Just some of the highlights that we've seen so far. The distillation is this. 9.3 seconds gap, Whincup to Courtney. Then it's Lowndes, then it's Tander. So that's an interesting battle between two big teams, Red Bull Racing Australia and the Holden Racing team. Next in the queue and the best of the rest is Fabian Coulthard. Shane Van Gisbergen, because of the adventure off the track, is down in 6th at the moment. Doesn't quite look like he's got the pace. We'll see. Then it's Slade. McLaughlin still in recovery mode in 33, but up to 8th. Scotty Pye, good job inside the 10. Then Mark Winterbottom is now 10th. So both McLaughlin and Winterbottom in recovery mode as a result of dramas during the race.
So he is fighting back Mark Winterbottom. Van Gisbergen, the other thing that happened with him, we're just looking at all the pit stop times, the brake pad change took longer than the fuel. So that put him further back than he should be in terms of his pace. The other guy that's been really impressive in the last few laps is Scott McLaughlin. He has been really fast. Outside of Whincup and Courtney, the next fastest car.
David Reynolds here, under and over and around Rick Kelly. Didn't quite work in that last complex of corners. Now he's going to have another shot down the inside at turn 1. This is a battle for 11th, and this time he's through. I had to hold on for a second on that one, but it did get it done in the end.
There was still
So
a little
remember,
bit of
they're
contact.
recovering in car number 55 from that pit lane drive-through penalty, the spinning wheels that you just saw in the highlights. So Reynolds recovering, Winterbottom recovering, McLaughlin recovering, each of them with stories to tell it in this race. They're at the bottom end of the top 10, and they've got pace. So they're in that same basket as Chaz Mostert, that if you do get a safety car at some point now, we've only had one so far, if you do get a safety car, they'll range into this one big time. And recent history in endurance racing has shown we tend to get these races where they box on at the back end, it tightens up and becomes a real sprint race. Now, Fabian Coulthard has been in the wars a little bit as well, off the end of the back straight there. He's been quiet on the radio in the recent past, but looks like he's now settled down in a rhythm. He's 5th. Remember, I said before, he's the best of the rest. And his co-driver, Luke Yilden's done a really nice job today. Just chipped away. Did the same thing yesterday. They qualified down the order with that broken rear anti-roll bar, and they chipped away, moved up the field, got a better starting position, and they're doing nicely. Unfortunately, their sister car, number 8, has had a very bad day.
As you were holding your breath on the Reynolds-Kelly manoeuvre, there was a little bit of contact right at the end of the corner where Rick Kelly just made contact left front with the right rear of the Model O Falcon, and you always try to avoid that stuff in long-distance races because you can have a guard or a fender or even a front spoiler rub on a tyre, and that's the worst thing that can happen in these sorts of races. Silly stuff that will put you out at that point, Brianna.
Greg Murphy, I just looking at what you're about to drink there. It looks awful. What exactly are you drinking?
It's not Gatorade.
Definitely not.
I'm just told. I do what I'm told. I'm given it and I drink it.
Now, seriously though, you guys are doing really well out there.
Yeah, listen, it is. It's going really good, and it's amazing what a good start does. Larko gave me a bit of a wind up, and it obviously worked. So no, it's good. The car's really good just about everywhere. There's a couple of little things that we've worked on this morning, and we've made it a little bit better, and it's definitely made quite a difference. So I was pretty happy to hand it back and get it in a good spot, and with all the panels still on it, unlike last year.
Now, is there any truth to the reports that if you guys get on the podium or have a good result, that Frank the Tank is going to duplicate? There's going to be 2 of you instead of 1?
Yeah, but it can only be used if it's number 1. So all we can do is hope that happens.
I don't believe there was an asterisk on that. I just believe that if there was a podium, we see Frank the Tank.
I don't think he uses it for anything other than first, which is fair enough.
All right, well then that's it. You just have to win the race.
Yeah, that's true.
That's it, Rihanna. You hold him to it. Murph and James Courtney had a pretty tough run last year through the Enduros, but at the moment, Courtney is sitting 2nd. He trails Jamie Whincup. Craig Lowndes sits 3rd. Then Garth Tander, Fabian Coulthard. We'll take a break from the Wilson Security Sandown 500.
We should just put the full stop on the story Rihanna was talking about there. Frank the Tank is a little celebration dance that James Courtney busts out when he wins V8 supercar races based off the Will Ferrell movie Old School, which is where he picked it up from. It's certainly not an original James Courtney dance movie. He does have some, but that's not one of them. This is a good fight. Tim Slade, 7th. Really good job for Super Cheap Auto Racing this weekend. New livery to celebrate Super Cheap Auto's 10th anniversary of sponsoring the Bathurst 1000, which of course is next. on the V8 calendar. Scott McLaughlin, Scott Pye are next, 8th and 9th. So Holden, Volvo and Ford together on the road at the moment. Could never get enough of this unique S60. The team at Polestar in Sweden have done a stunning job. And he's starting to fight back and put the pressure on Tim Slade, who is in his first year with the Super Jeep team. This time last year, he was in an Erebus Mercedes. Lap 107, Whincup leads. 8.1 seconds is the margin, so James Courtney is hanging tough for HRT. It's Holden, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Commodore and their VF dominating. This is the best of the rest. McLaughlin in the Volvo in 8th. Pye is the best Ford in 9th. The best Nissan is Rick Kelly in 12th. And the best Erebus Mercedes is Lee Holdsworth in 18th. So the General is dominating today at Sandown. They've already claimed Holden the Manufacturers Award for winning the most races this season. Remember, it's race 29 of 38 in the championship, but that really does fade away into insignificance because of the value of points and because of the prestige of these endurance races. This is Melbourne's Endurance Classic. It's very much in the shadow of Bathurst, but it's got its own rich history and heritage. And winning this would be really, really special.
Not for position, mate, not for position.
McLaughlin fighting on. The second Volvo is 14th with Robert Darwin. He's saying the rear is really bad. So he's starting to struggle as he continues this chase. Let's see what he can do. Whincup out front, 8 seconds clear. Big margin back from Courtney to Lowndes, 16 seconds, 54 to go at Sandown.
58,391 fans enjoying this incredible spectacle of the Wilson Security Sandown 500. Magnificent weather, great Melbourne spring conditions, and a big crowd out enjoying that grandstand that is famous here at Sandown. And the Holden fans, they're enjoying it the most. They have the top 7 positions so far in this race. The conditions, guys, best I can remember, but you're a lot older than me, you'd remember further back.
I can remember so far back, and every one of them's just grey and misty and wet and chaotic. That's what I usually remember about this. 7.9 seconds is the margin between Whincup and Courtney at the moment. 23.8 seconds off the lead is Craig Lowndes. 26.5 seconds off the lead is Garth Tander. I've just done some fuel numbers with Oscar Fiorinotto, our resident engineering expert in the box. Scapey and I were looking at these, and Whincup, we think, by average numbers, has got to take on about 87 litres in his final stop. Courtney 103, Lowndes 92, Coulthard 90, Tander 101. We've got a correction error in there, so it could be anywhere between 3 or 5 litres different. But what it means, basically, because of the gaps on the road at the moment, is that it's pretty tightly poised, but we don't think the order is going to really shuffle. That's assuming they process their stops accurately, get in, get out, and get it all done. But Courtney is actually chipping away at the lap speed of Whincup at the moment. He's quicker in a couple of sectors. He's got that margin down to 7.7 seconds. We're also hearing Scott McLaughlin talking on the radio at the moment about the rear of the car not being nice. He's 8th, and we're looking at him doing his fancy footwork at the end of the back straight.
And we're looking also back from Scott Pye. And a little wheel lock there on the way into Dandenong Road. That was close. Just got away with that one, Rihanna.
Ash Walsh, the Sandown 500 for you last year was not a nice place and you walked away unharmed. But this year, you and Scott Pye, you've made up 19, sorry, you started from 19th. You're currently sitting within the top 10 in 9th place in a really nice spot.
Yeah, today's gone really as we planned. This morning we struggled a little with setup again, so we worked really hard in the lead up to the race to try and come up with a solution. And the car seems to be getting better the more laps that we're doing. So I'm really looking forward to seeing where Scotty ends up. And I'm just so happy that after last year that I finished my stint unscathed and gave him a straight car.
Thanks for the time, Ash. Good luck for the rest of the race.
Cheers. Thanks, Rihanna.
He was involved in a frightening incident at the end of the back straight. And, he's had a wonderful run also in the Dunlop Series so far this year. There's still 2 rounds to go. He's second in that championship. He's had a win in Adelaide, a win at Winton, and a win at Townsville. And you can tell by the look on his face, a bit of satisfaction there to get through a big enduro, and he had good pace. So that's a good effort, well done.
That's the gap, 7.7 seconds, Lucko.
Adrian Burgess, team principal down here at Holden Racing Team, mate. We can't hide from the intense rivalry that's building between you guys and Red Bull. You used to work there. You're now in a sandwich between them, and it's hard, mate, isn't it? You can't just sort of throw a strategy at this late part of the race. What can you do? He's chiseling away at him, but what can you do?
Oh, look, you're right. There's not too much we can do. Obviously, we're going to keep pushing on. We've got a quicker car, I think, only slightly than those guys, but we're all pretty much locked into the same one more stop. But we'll keep chipping away. There's plenty of green boxes there on the timing screen, so we're enjoying that. We'll put them under pressure and hopefully they make a mistake.
Not only green boxes, mate, I see green tyres over there, but I also see green tyres up the other end of pit lane, so it's a race to the end.
Yeah, I'm sure they've got another set as well. But yeah, look, we'll give it a good crack, and we're in the race.
I'm going to head up and have a chat to Roland now. Any messages for him?
I'll just send him my regards, you know. Ask him if he's done his ALS Ice Bucket Challenge. I challenged him on.
All right, I'll pick him up on it.
Yes. Get him to do it today.
Sure, Roland can't wait to hear from Adrian. Larko, good luck passing that one on. All right, here's our leader, Jamie Whincup. Sits in first spot. That's Craig Lowndes going through. James Courtney sits in second. Lowndes sitting in third. It is an enthralling finish coming up. Stay with us as we head towards the closing stages.
And it's now very much all about who's got what to do at that last stop. How much fuel to put on board, how much time to be stationary. No driver changes. All the main gamers will stay on board for the run home. Here is Shane van Gisbergen, sixth. Lap speed just starting to fade away for him as we start lap 112, 50 left to complete. We're down to 16 cars on the lead lap. Last of them is David Wall. Car 17. Not a bad job though from VIP Pet Foods. A little bit of smoke from this car. You can pick it up there. It's being watched at Cam's Race Control. They just put a call out over Race Control Management Channel to keep an eye on that. We will keep an eye on it as well. This is a good fight. Scott Pye keeping the pressure on Scott McLaughlin. These two graduates of the Dunlop Series, part of that great graduating class of 2012 that also included Chaz Mostert and Nick Percat. Courtney's chipping away. He took 2/10 from Whincup that time. The margin's 7.5 seconds. And HRT are trying to win their first Sandown 500 in 11 years. And Holden are just dominating today, the top 7 spots. No manufacturer has dominated like that since the glory days of the Tiranas of the mid-70s. But there is a long way to go. There's a Volvo, there's a couple of Falcons in the top 10 that would like to spoil the General's party. Nice job from Ash Walsh, who drove this car a little earlier on. Now Scott Pye at the helm. Mark Winterbottom is 10th. He's next on the road behind Pye by only about a second. Reynolds is 11th. Rick Kelly is 12th. Russell Ingall, quiet day, but achieving 13th. Robert Dahlgren, 14th. Then Nick Percat and David Wall. Jack Perkins a lap down in 17th. Then Holdsworth, Todd Kelly, Chaz Mostert, Dale Wood, Michael Caruso and Will Davison. Jason Bright, 24th, 19 laps down. And the Norton Nissan of Taz Douglas and James Moffat. The one and only retirement so far, just completing 15 laps. Good job here from Tim Slade and Tony D'Alberto in the Super Cheap Commodore. They're running 7th at the moment, but at the front, it is all about Jamie Whincup and James Courtney, the men who battled for the championship in 2010. They're fighting for the win in the Wilson Security Sandown 500. The margin, 7.2 at the line.
Tim Slade doing a great job in the Super Cheap Auto Commodore. He's currently wedged between Shane van Gisbergen and Scotty McLaughlin behind him. Great job earlier from Tony D'Alberto as well. Now remember, 24 days to go until we hit the mountain for the Super Cheap Auto Bathurst 1000, and it is the 10th year of Super Cheap sponsorship of that great event. Could be a good omen for Tim Slade and Tony D'Alberto.
Tim Slade at the moment is 7th in this race. We're looking at him on board here, working away at the task. 10 years of Super Cheap backing up at Mount Panorama. Really happy with the car this weekend. First time I've heard him say that for a long time. Bit of junk on the road there. Can't work out. Maybe it's a little bit of a indicator lens or something like that. It was orange, but really happy with the car. Remember, he was on the front row of the grid back in New Zealand at Pukekohe, and then traumas for him in Townsville, Queensland Raceway, all that drama a couple of weeks ago at Sydney Motorsport Park. Been a really tough deal for him. He's inside the top 10. Good solid points there. All the Walkinshaw racing cars look pretty speedy. This is Todd Kelly, 19th at the moment, between Lee Holdsworth and Chaz Mostert. Incidentally, Courtney is tightening up that margin ever so slightly. It's only a 10th here or there. He's got it down to 7.1 seconds now, Larko.
Yeah, down here with Roland Dane. I can notice you're watching the numbers very closely, mate. I was having a chat to Adrian Burgess, your mate down at Holden Racing Team. It's quite intense between you guys. Can you keep them covered? They just seem to be chiselling away.
Jamie's hasn't been driving flat out, so we'll wait and see if we need to or not. But the less fuel you use, the less you got to put in the car at the end. So he's managing the pace. He's pretty good at that sort of thing. I'd prefer it if he didn't, but he's pretty good at it. So he's, you know, if you save 0.1 per lap, then that means less to put in at the final fueling thing. So Jamie's just managing it.
Adrian made a point of sending his regards up to you. Are you proposing I go down there and tell him that Jamie's not driving the car as fast as he can?
It's look, everyone can bullshit their way through these races. I prefer to let the cars do the talking to see where we are at the end of the race.
All right, cheers, mate.
Cheers.
Rather forthright Roland Dane there. 87 odd litres, plus or minus a bit of a correction error.
I'm glad he didn't bring the ice bucket challenge up.
Yeah,
There's no chance about that.
I don't think so. That's a bit of history there. 16 litres difference between the two cars at their fill. Whincup, by our estimates, got to find time to squeeze in about 87 odd, and Courtney about 103. And we actually noticed just a minute ago, when you start to look at the trend data, that Whincup has been a little bit slower in this stint than even Dumbrell was earlier, and I think he is actually driving to fuel numbers at the moment, but they've been doing it through the race. They were giving Dumbrell the same messages as well, and as Roland rightly observes, they want to spend the least amount of time stationary at the very end. They want to come in, get those brand new tyres on. They've both got them at the end, and they want to try and squeeze fuel in the minimum amount of time. The margin is 7.8 seconds. It actually just opened up again a minute ago. Whincup's got control. We'll see what happens.
Spending a little time here with Will Davis at the 23rd lap down. It's been a tough day for the Davo boys. They are struggling away, but you'll see there, their dash is working again in car number 9. So he's got shift lights, he's got engine information, he's got road speed, he's got all the information that he normally would have. He's following Nick Percat, who is 15th, and he's the birthday boy today. Nick Percat turns 26 today. He and Ollie Gavin are 15th overall in the second last car on the lead lap. We're on lap 117, so we're very much into the business end of the Wilson Security Sandown 500. This is the fight for the final podium spot. Craig Lowndes and Garth Tander. So it's a Red Bull car in front from HRT, Red Bull and HRT. It's family feud at Holden as Lowndes here in third takes on Garth Tander, who is in position 4. There's the gap back to Fabian Coulthard. Shane Van Gisbergen next. The lap BOC car is not in the frame. This gaggle is 7th to 10th. Slade, McLaughlin, Pye and Mark Winterbottom. McLaughlin's starting to struggle. The Volvo is struggling for pace. It's struggling for drive. And Scott Pye knows it, but we also know that the Volvo, it's got some snort, it's got power, and he manages to hang on, even though he struggles for drive on the exit of these quite slow corners. That corner onto the pit straight here at Sandown is second gear and 80 kilometres per hour. And this stuff through here, it's all second gear. It's all about traction and drive. This one, turn 4, critical because it brings you onto the back straight. It is in fact longer than the front straight. Yes, there's this little kink in it, but it is 100% throttle all the way. Whincup's been able just to chip away. He's 7.7 seconds clear of Courtney, so it really needs a safety car to give James that little bit of a sniff and get him up onto the back bumper bar of car number 1. So this is a good fight between Tim Slade, who's had a pretty tough year. McLaughlin's had a celebrated year. Pye's had some good results as well, and Winterbottom is desperately hanging tough in the championship because his number 1 rival, Jamie Whincup, is on target for 300 points to win the race. Winterbottom in 10th. would only pick up 156, so Whincup would pick up just about double what the Ford man would get from today's Endurance Classic. But there is a long way to go. There's another pit stop to be had. Don't count the chickens until they hatch. We're on lap 119, and it's Holden dominating today in Melbourne.
Welcome back to Sandown. It's the Wilson Security Sandown 500, the first of the 3 per deck enduro events for 2014 on 7. Hope you're enjoying our coverage. We're looking at a wonderful battle here involving Tim Slade, Scotty McLaughlin and Scott Pye. McLaughlin's having a battle at the moment with car number 33, the Volvo, the blue car on screen there. And he's been in conversation with his engineer, Richard Holway, and he's going to come up with a different technical solution to the problem. They haven't really got the drive they're looking for from the rear of the car, so he's asked whether or not they can lower the rear ride height in the stock. We might try and explain that in more detail a bit later on. He says, I think I'll try the combo of the lower rear ride height, and then we'll trim it with the bars, which are the anti-roll bars in the car. And we're about to see a flurry of stops. So we're setting up now for the final stops of the day, and the first to blink is Mark Winterbottom. He's eked his way back into the top 10. Here he is. So all the primary drivers are in the car. This will fuel everybody to the end. This is the critical stop that determines the order for the last blast.
Everyone will have fresh tyres. You can see there, green tyres. New tyres going on. Some people, this is a late call, doing brake pads so late. Big risk in doing this. However, it makes the pedal very good for the end of the race. Very aggressive strategy.
Courtney in, so they're looking for perfect brake pedal on this car, but they can't afford a glitch in the stop because it could cost them the seconds they might gain. There's James in the background.
Pump the pedal, pump the pedal, pump the pedal. And go, 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 go. Make sure you got a pedal, brother.
I can see 4 new tyres going on. The HRT 22 car, there's Mark Larkham checking that out.
So you can see they're shiny. That's what Mark means by green. Brand spankers, new Dunlop hard tyres. Sport Max logos on them. There they are, they're waiting for fuel. United E85 going in 3.6 litres a second. Scott Pye's come in from the top 10 as well in the Wilson Security entry. There he is.
Go, mate, go, go, go.
Good stuff. But the one we're watching for is what happens with Whincup in particular and his teammate Lowndes. And you can probably add in Tander. It's a ride height change on the Dick Johnson Racing car number 16.
Clear, clear, clear. Waiting on fuel.
Scotty Pye. So
Good
they're
job.
trimming that car for performance in the last phase of the race as well.
Go, 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 go.
There's Ian Walborn, nicknamed Wally. He's been around a long time. He was involved with Fred Gibson way back in the old Nissan Skyline days. He's been with Alan Moffat prior to that.
They haven't made much of it this weekend, but remember they had the trauma of having to repair the car after Sydney Motorsport Park too. That's been lost in the traffic a bit in the last couple of days, but that's a huge turnaround, a big effort by everybody inside that operation to get that car in and done, turned around. Here's Van Gisbergen.
Just remember to leave the car in neutral, please.
And also David Reynolds in the background.
Come across. Right, thank you.
They're going to do pads in Rick Kelly's car as well. He's in.
Green tyres again. Everybody's been able to store up a set for the weekend. Dave Reynolds, same thing. 4 brand new tyres going on the Bottle Falcon. Everybody now in a position to sprint to the end.
You'll be right when you drop.
Less than 40 laps. Waiting for fuel.
Have a drink. Still clear. Okay, you're clear.
This will correct the order. Van Gisbergen gets out.
Clear out too, buddy.
Fast lane.
Are we good? We go, 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 go.
A little slow on the absolute clutch drop and departure there for Reynolds. Sometimes they cough if you give the car too much throttle percentage too soon when the rev limiter is switched on. Here's Tander in. And remember, we're interested to see whether or not there's any undercut performance from James Courtney versus Jamie Whincup. And they're sitting at about mid 7.5 seconds or thereabouts, that margin.
And the undercut with these two, because Tander and Lowndes were really close.
Yes.
So it'll be interesting to see 2 factory Holden teams. There's Mark Larkham.
I'm keen to see if they do this rear. No, that doesn't look like they're going to do this rear right height change. They put the wheel back on. Look at these. These are interesting. Little receptacles full of dry ice. Whack them in the window. They go down into the cool box in there that does two things. There's a fan that pumps the cool air into his helmet and for the cool suit through the car.
Yeah, so they didn't make the change after all the discussion that they had on the radio. That hasn't happened. We saw it, though, for the Dick Johnson racing car. Waiting for fuel. Tander's out. Fabian Coulthard out as well. And Slade. So Red Bull hanging in there. Russell Ingles moved up to third as all these stops are processed. Haven't seen much of him this weekend. So Coulthard comes out in front of Van Gisbergen.
These are all for position. Yeah, these guys were battling before the stop.
Scotty Pye, David Reynolds. McLaughlin's going to be a bit vulnerable to Reynolds when they get down to turn one. He's got stone cold tyres on that thing at the moment. Oh, he's gone off the road. Stone cold tyres are the issue. And you cannot break in the normal positions or expect the car to perform mid-corner as it did the previous lap. Lowndes in. Red Bull Racing Australia, last stop of the day. Pads for Lowndes. They want good brake condition for the blast to the end. He's looking up the top of the gantry for the lights. Waiting for fuel, doing pads.
Remember, Lowndes and Tander were really close. There's a bit of a drama going with the right-hand front. So that's a problem. We always say the last stop.
A problem for Percat. Damage for Percat. Car 222 limping along the lane. And a delay, I reckon, for Lowndes. Now, Percat's going to pull off here. He's got steering damage in the front right-hand corner. White flag indicates a slow-moving car. He's off to the side of the road. I believe, and this is an easy trick to do here at this place, he's hit the wall trying to get into the pit lane. And have a look at Van Gisbergen down the inside of Coulthard. It looks like on between these guys as they make the run down to turn two as well. So the last stop has triggered a lot of action, and still the telltale smoke from the VIP Pet Foods car. Whincup still has not pitted.
And Lowndes lost the spot to Tander.
No surprise. So tardy problem with the front right-hand corner of that car. Brianna.
Yeah, I was watching the HHA car trying to get into pit lane. It simply looked like he was coming in too hot and he's hit pit entry wall.
It's very tight there and it's very slippery. And it's really easy if you just don't quite get it right when you lock a brake. You can't steer the car. Here's the race leader. This is the critical stop of the day. Courtney was in early. They're trying to get an undercut going.
As silly as it sounds, crashing into the wall, coming into the pits is easy to do. This is one of the most dangerous entries in the series. He's the leader of the championship.
No pads for Whincup, unlike his teammate.
Make sure we're good.
Clean boots.
Pit lane is clear. Waiting on fuel. Pit lane is clear.
Topping up driver water.
All clear, mate.
Low heart rates in all the messages.
Calm. Exactly. Very nice.
Where's James Courtney? That's who we're looking for. It is going to be a gap. What I'm really interested in, though, is did the gap narrow?
So look in the back of screen as the rejoin happens for Whincup. Looking back, there he is, just coming onto the straight. So we'll just give you a number. 15.4, he's opened that gap based on the fuel stop time. It was roughly, it's 13.2 seconds now. It was 8 seconds just before the stop.
And it takes a little while to normalise because Whincup's got to get back up to speed, so he'll take a little bit more of that number out before it settles again. Remember, Whincup only had 87 odd litres to stick in, and Courtney with 103. We're back in a tick.
Nick Percat has limped back in the HHA Commodore, and they'll check this car over for the damage to steering and the like. Oh, what a bad day. Jason Bright through the gravel at Dandenong Road corner. Not a straight panel on that car. He's 24, he's 18 laps down. This is very much down. Just a case of doing laps and being classified as a finisher and picking up a scrap of points for his championship. Just waiting for the gap to formalise between Whincup and Courtney. Remember that Whincup was coming up to speed at the exit of the pit lane. It's 11.4 seconds at the line. So obviously, when we had that 15-second margin, it was because Whincup was coming up to speed and on cold tyres. So that is a real margin between first and second. Chaz Mostert is third. Remember, though, the pit stop cycle that he's on, he does need to stop again for a splash of fuel. And here is the Walkinshaw 222 car on the go. Jackson being put back into the garage because there is damage that needs to be attended to. They've completed 123 laps. The leaders are on lap 127. It's a shame for Oliver Gavin's endurance campaign to begin. The Corvette factory driver flies out for another event before he comes back for Bathurst. Races in the Tudor United Sports Car Series in the United States for the factory Corvette team. But they've got work to do with 222 to get ready. Nick Percat is staying in the car and not getting out. Back on board with Mark Winterbottom. Lots of rev limiter at the end of the back straight. He's 12th at the moment. He's dropped a little bit of ground through that pit stop cycle because Reynolds has got in front in the Bottle 04. That is Reynolds just down the road. Holden on target for a big day at Sandown, but there's a long way to go. Lap 128, Whincup out front.
Oh, it's Nick Percat's 26th birthday today, and he is not where he wants to be. He is back in the garage. He has hit the pit entry wall. Catastrophic front end damage, as Mark Scaife told us. It's a lot easier to do than you would imagine. It's one of the toughest pit entries in the championship, Larko.
Nick Percat, this is a tough gig, mate, but very easy thing to do, mate, to bang into that pit wall. It's one of the most dangerous entries we have in the championship.
Well, I didn't do it myself. Old Dill Waverson or Will Davison, the bright spark, one lap down, just hedged me into pit wall when I'm pitting. I don't even know why he's trying to race us. Just another silky smooth move from a Davison, so thanks for that, mate.
Anyway, mate, keep your head up because you've been doing a great job this year.
Well, thank you.
So contact was the reason, and it's amazing how the business flows, because the last time out, Sydney Motorsport Park, it was a career solo best performance of second. Remember, he's been a Bathurst winner. It's up in the background there, so you can see the Benz has gone through, and there's the aftermath. Have a listen to this. So there's supposed to be a sound there in the background, but I heard some crickets. It was, and I reckon I could hear the heart rate of Nick Percat go up, and he didn't sound terribly happy in that interview. Very frustrating. So very nearly won race number 28 at Sydney Motorsport Park, but not a good day for him today. And that car's been a bit battered and bruised, hasn't it? Ollie Gavin sharing that car was really getting in the rough stuff early on as well.
It was a strange point of the track, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because it was a lot earlier. So when I was saying how difficult it is to get in the pit lane, it's difficult to get in the pit lane as fast as you possibly can, but it's a lot to do with the right hand, the ramp, and the left-hander at the top. So you brake, and it's easy to lock a wheel and hit the guardrail. That's not where Percat was. He was way further back than that, and that's where Davison hedged him into the guardrail. Back there, actually, in the back of that shot, was the spot.
Still concerned for that smoke. John Bow on the right there, Touring Car Masters, and one of the legends of the game, who's had great success sprint and endurance racing in Australia over a long period of time. Trouble and a difficult day for Jason Bright. This is the Gillette replay. Fires off down there in the weeds at turn number 9. Tours the gravel trap. It comes back. It's got more race tape on it than advertising at the moment. It's just a real mess, that car, unfortunately. Now, remember I said that a little bit of that margin that Mark made reference to earlier would disappear, and it does, because it just takes a little bit of time for Jamie to be able to get back to his full race pace. So it stabilised at just on about 11.5 to 12 seconds, but now Courtney's actually pulled it back out again. He's found a little bit of time, so it's 10.8 exactly at the moment, so we'll keep the focus on this margin. We'll have a look at Whincup at work here too.
So with less than 30 laps to go in this 500-kilometre race, Jamie Whincup and Paul Dumbrell are in the box seat. He is so good, Jamie Whincup. 5 times championship winner. Can they defend the title today? We'll find out.
Very much on the run home. 30 to complete at Sandown. And the margin's 11.1 seconds. James Courtney is making a race of it. He's standing tall, but this man's just got a bit more at the moment. This is for the podium, effectively. These are the guys who are chasing Tander, who at the moment is 4th, but is really 3rd. Lowndes with that slow pit stop has slipped back. So he's in the clutches of Van Gisbergen. Coulthard's next in the queue. Scott Pye, McLaughlin, Reynolds and Slade. They're the next on the road. And smoke continues from the left rear. Oh, big crash. Lee Holdsworth has had a massive one at the end of the back straight. Cars going every which way. Chaz Mostert off the road as well. Safety car out at Sandown. Major accident with Lee Holdsworth in the number 4 Erebus Mercedes. Was a lap down and at the fringe of...
I really don't know.
He sounds puzzled.
Before I got to the brake.
Sounds like he's got no brakes.
Control, I don't know, steered from the rear or something.
He's okay. He's talking on the radio.
All good, mate, all good. So the medics get here.
To Brad Wischusen, who is his engineer. Massive damage to the left side of car 4, but it's done the job. It's protected the driver. Safety car is out on lap 133. Just the second safety car today. Betty Klemenko can't look. That's big damage, but the good news is her driver is okay. The recently re-signed Lee Holdsworth. They're going to need to do some serious repairs on this car before they get to Bathurst. They do have a couple of spare chassis back at the Erebus workshop on the Gold Coast. I reckon that's taken the wind out of the sails of Lee Holdsworth. That's gone in really hard at the end of the back straight. That's 265 kilometres per hour in top gear. But he's climbing out under his own power. That's good to see. But he's feeling it. You'll feel it tomorrow as well. So the race is neutralised. The margin of Whincup to Courtney is gone. James Courtney's in the game. Lee Holdsworth gets a nice round of applause from the fans. But we've got a race. The field is bunched under the safety car here at Sandown.
There's been a major incident here at Sandown International Motor Raceway. That's Lee Holdsworth getting into the medical car, and the stricken Benz in the foreground. Immediately when the car came to a halt, Lee was on the radio and said something went majorly wrong with the car as I turned it in. And as a result, it has hit the wall, been torn apart. The race has been neutralised by the Petters Chrysler safety car, and all the margins that we talked about have disappeared. The good news, Holdsworth is walking about. He was on the radio, lucid, talking straight away. He's now in the care of the medical crew in good hands.
That was unbelievable, Neil. Oh, he lost control. He said over the radio...
That is a shocking incident.
He said he lost control before the braking area. That's 265 kilometres an hour. Check that out. I've never seen a car go off the road as fast as that at that spot. Man, look, check this real time.
As soon as it came to a halt, I heard Lee on the radio straight away, but the forces that have gone through that car, and in turn him, would be very big numbers. Betty Klemenko, the team owner, distressed. Look at that car. The safety cell in that car that the driver sits in, and the roll cage structure of that car have done a remarkable job. But it's gone down to the left, off the side of the road, in the braking area at turn number 6, at peak rev value down there in top gear. It's 266 kilometres an hour. There's a big mess to clean up. We will, and we'll be back in a tick.
So lap 135, safety car out. That's allowed Chaz Mostert to dive in and take his last stop. So he's the last man on the lead lap and he's 13th. So the order you see in front of you is just about the race order. A couple of lap cars in the way there, but Whincup is the leader. And And then he's got lap traffic behind. Russell Ingall, Robert Dahlgren, Jack Perkins is in among there. Will Davison's 2 laps down. So there's, what, 4 cars between Whincup and Courtney. There's 22. Wall, Kelly, their laps down. Tander next, then Lowndes. That's for position. Then Gisberg in 5th. Coulthard 5, McLaughlin, Reynolds, and Slade is the 10. Winterbottom 11th, Rick Kelly 12th, Mostert 13th. Last car's on the lead lap, so plenty of work to do over at the S's to remove that smashed Erebus Mercedes. Michael Caruso rejoining, he's a lap down and 20th in the Norton Nissan, the remaining Norton Hornet. This car will change its livery for the next race at Bathurst to celebrate the 30th anniversary of Nissan's pole position with George Fury in the Turbo Bluebird. They'll adopt the same livery, the white with red and blue stripes. But this is a major repair job for this team and a major recovery job for the accident crews here at Sandown. Get it back up onto that tilt tray truck and remove it. But as you saw in the replay, Lee Holdsworth was out of control before he even came into our shot. He was already on the infield on the grass trying to wipe off some speed. And that conveyor belt and tyre wall in front of the guardrail did a very good job. That's a corner that in years gone by has had some major accidents back in the open wheeler days in V8s. But that Lee Holdsworth was able to get out of that car by himself under his own power, albeit with the medical crews quickly on hand, is a testament to the strength and construction of the new generation V8 supercar. So well done to all, and Pace Innovations and the individual teams themselves. But we've got a race, the field is compressed, the restart's not too far away, lap 135.
Well, fans of Lee Holdsworth and Erebus Motorsport, some very bad news. Their day is done, and Lee Holdsworth hitting the tyre barrier at 266 kilometres an hour. Turn 6, end of the back straight, lost control of the car, reported that he just couldn't feel any control of the car, but that Erebus car is now spread across 2 corners. Here you see the car makes a slight left turn. Let's see if we can see what happened. It's Scaife here, Neil.
Something's failed, and the car's just shot to the left on the bumps up there in the braking area, and it's gone off the normal racing line and then leapt straight into that wall with very little speed reduction at all.
Those tyres have done an unbelievable job there, Neil, to withstand those forces, and I mean, extraordinarily fast, fastest I've ever seen.
So it's great to see the crowd reacting positively. They're pleased to see Lee is okay. So those are belted tyres, we should make the point as well. There's actually quite a process involved in linking those tyre bundles together, and then there's a belt on the fascia of the bundle, and that's really done its job, as Mark Scaife pointed out. While we're under the control of the safety car, we'll take another quick break.
And another update, Lee Holdsworth's not the only car eliminated because of that crash. A wheel that came off the number 4 car hit the BOC car of Jason Bright on the way through and has caused too much damage. So it is also out of the race. They were, of course, already many laps down after replacing a radiator earlier on. You can see the radiator damage and the glycol that's spewing out of the front of car 4 on the back of the truck there. So this has been a long safety car period to get this all cleaned up. We're approaching the 3-hour mark of the Wilson Security Sandown 500, and it's very much a chase for Jamie Whincup, but this gives James Courtney a sniff. He's got some lap cars in between he and the points leader, trying to win the Holden Racing Team its first Sandown 500 since 2003, when Mark Scaife and Todd Kelly took victory there. Is car 22. Nice job from Greg Murphy earlier on. There's Garth Tander. He will fight with Lowndes, Van Gisbergen and Coulthard for the final step on the podium. Tander has never been on the podium of a Sandown 500. Quite amazing in a long V8 career. And that is one smashed and crashed Erebus number 4 car. Lee Holdsworth and Craig Baird are out of the race. So that is 3 cars out of the 25 that started definitely did not finish in the final results sheet. Nick Percat still in the pits in the Heavy Haulage Australia Commodore. they've been working on repairing it just to get it out there and at least cross the line. So the cleanup is continuing as the drivers try to keep some heat in the tyres, heat in the brakes as well, so when the race is restarted, they don't find themselves caught out with a lack of grip down at turn 1. Those lap cars in between Whincup and Courtney will help Whincup get some margin over Courtney in the opening lap or so. Once we get back to green flag running, that's a sad sight. The new livery this weekend for car number 4. They're still working very hard at Erebus Motorsport on securing major naming right sponsorship for both cars for the rest of the season and indeed for next year, but the repair is going on. You can see how that tyre wall is chained together. They're making sure that it's nice and safe for when this race restarts.
This race currently under safety car after one of the biggest impacts we've ever seen here at Sandown. Lee Holdsworth hitting the tyre wall at turn 6 at the end of the back straight. That's the result. The car on the flatbed at the moment. Lee on his way to the medical centre, but he did walk to the medical car, so things look pretty good for Lee Holdsworth at this stage. But what that means is after 450 odd kilometres of racing, we are set for a 20-lap sprint to the line. This is going to be some finish, guys.
Yes, indeed, Brett. It's a tough day, though, for that Erebus Motorsport team. So here's what's been going on today. Lots of pressure on pit crews. We saw last round of stops just recently completed. A couple of little changes to the rear of the cars. Nick Percat got a whack from behind that put him into the wall down there. He was pretty disappointed in the interview post. Jason Bright went off the road down at turn number 9, and this is the big incident. It's brought out the safety car again. So Lee Holdsworth, car number 4, winner of the race number 8 at Winton earlier in the year. Something's failed in the car. It's turned him hard left. He jumped straight on the radio and talked about it. And we think a wheel parted company with that car and has also got in the path of Jason Bright to make a bad day even worse for Team BOC. Crowd reacting positively to the news that Lee was okay, which is wonderful. He's in the hands of the very capable medical crew and the marshals down there. We thank them for all their hard work. And repair work still being done. There's those interlock tyres that I spoke about before. There's actually a design that the International Federation of Motorsport puts together. It's quite a process and quite an expensive one to be able to prepare these tyres, and they're just trying to get them back into position because the track's got to be safe before we can resume. And that's what it looks like in close-up on the back of the flatbed truck. So it's plucked the entire front left-hand corner off that car. And because of the belt in front of the tyre barriers down there, as soon as the car touches it, it basically works like a brake and it flicks the car end to end, and you saw how quickly it whipped from one end to the other. It's just literally torn the corners off the car. So we think Bright collected that wheel, and the right side of the car isn't as bad. And there's not very much turnaround time between now and the Super Cheap Auto Bathurst 1000. The car will go back to the Gold Coast to Erebus Motorsport, where it'll go on the jig. And often when you take some of the skin away from the car, it takes away the emotional impact of it as well as the damaged bodywork, and you kind of look at the actual hardcore structure of the car, it isn't quite as bad. But that's a very nasty one. The good news is, if you've just joined us, Lee Holdsworth is okay. That's the area in question. I noticed that the safety crews have moved away, so that means we're not far away from being able to get this underway once more.
Just outside the medical centre with the CEO of Erebus Motorsport, Ryan Madison. It hurts to see those images of Lee Holdsworth's car. He's still seeking medical attention. He is okay. It really hurts to see those images, though.
Yeah, Lee's okay. Does hurt to see those images. Like you said, all of a sudden results get completely put to the side. Our only concern was obviously Lee's safety and well-being. Fortunately, I've been able to observe him. See, he's had a few words. Obviously, the medical staff are just making sure everything's fine with him. We'll do a post-mortem on the car.
Do you know at the moment what caused the incident?
Oh, look, there's obviously a couple of thousand things we need to go through right now. We're taking feedback from him. He's with Brad, his engineer as well. So there's speculation, but until we do a post-mortem on the car, look at the data, look at the physics, we'll know in time.
Thanks for your time, Ryan.
Thanks a lot.
Ryan Madison, Erebus Motorsport, there with Rihanna. Standard procedure to go back to the medical centre there. Even if he says he's fine, they just want to make sure of that fact, so they'll have a look at him and make sure that everything's normal. But he'll have some bruising from that one, and the belts, though they've done their job, will really have grabbed Lee. That one will hurt, and he'll wake up tomorrow morning and there'll be aches and pains.
No doubt, that was a massive incident. Great that Lee's okay. There's Betty also going down to check on Lee. Now, the interesting thing at the restart is Whincup now 3.2 seconds in front of Courtney with the bunch up of the field, but there are 3 cars in between Whincup and Courtney at the restart. Lowndes is now right up behind Tander because he lost that position before the last stop. So there were some dramas there with the right front of Lowndes. So Engel, Dahlgren and Perkins are parked between Courtney and Whincup. So Whincup will use this. He'll make sure his restart's as good as it can possibly be, and James will have to get his way by those 3 vehicles in front.
So as you heard in the background on the audio there, the Peters Chrysler safety cars are going to pull off. They're back in Jamie's control. He's got the advantage of a clear track, and he'll make the most of it on this lap, but away he goes. And there's James Courtney, 3 cars back. So it's pretty straightforward now, we think. It's a sprint to the end. They're well versed at sprint racing this year. They did it yesterday. It's 23 laps to the end. Blue flag's being waved there. Courtney's got to try and clear them as quickly as he can. These guys are in a hurry in their own little battles here at the moment as well. Courtney trying to probe his way through on the inside. No gap there.
That was a big moment. I was making the point when I saw Dahlgren and Jack trying to get to turn 2 alongside each other, and now they're alongside each other. Jack's going to get by.
And James is reacting on the radio, so Rob's just calming him down. His engineer, Rob Starr, he's going, what are these guys doing? So he wants them out of the way. Oh! Out of the way, all right. So Robert Dahlgren was out of the way like a sprint car at the end of the back straight. James quite rightly should be moaning about that too, because he doesn't need to have guys that are a lap down racing him. That's wrong.
Oh, and they're all still running into each other. Here's Craig. Have a look at the traffic jam, seriously. They've just got to move the car out of the way and get out of the motor race.
So Courtney, after a wild lap of having to pluck his way through, has still got to clear Jack Perkins and Russell Ingall. So he's right on the tail now of Jack Perkins. David Reynolds leaning on Todd Kelly as they make their way down to turn 2. Back right rear corner of that car of David's doesn't look too flash either. And blue flag call from the race director in Cam's race control, Tim Schenken, for Russell Ingall and also for Jack Perkins, which hopefully are observed so we can get this race going.
Oh, there are blokes bluing everywhere over the radio. You're listening to the feedback.
Yeah, Todd Kelly was not a happy camper about something there in the background. So Jack just off the road there at the left-hander at turn number 9. So this has given a huge margin, great benefit here to Whincup. And in fact, Courtney has got his own teammate to bother about at the moment too. He's right in the mirrors. Another call from race control, this time to car 18, nominating the number specifically. Oh, this is the reason why Todd is all angry. So he ended up 3 wide and out in the grass there. So he would have got a hip and shoulder. His brother Rick, new dad, is also on the radio unhappy about something at the moment. It's all the normal congestion at a restart. It's because of the box-on situation for everybody. Look at it.
And Mostert's jumped Winterbottom in this.
Yeah, now Mostert is fast. In all the flurry and in that unfortunate accident, Mostert came in. They put the last load of fuel in, so he kind of got it for free. And that gets him back in touch. But he doesn't have track position, but he's got younger tyres. I don't know what the condition of those tyres were. I assume they're young or pretty good. And if that's the case, he'll be a bit of a threat to some of these guys. A lot of debris still up there on that road on the outside. So here's James sneaking up the inside of Dahlgren. And Robert was out there. How's that one for a catch? Another blue flag warning for car number 18 for Jack Perkins.
Wall down the inside. Oh, that was
Russell
so
Ingall
close.
is actually holding on quite well to the back of Jamie Whincup there at the moment. And now both James Courtney and Garth Tander get through on young Jack. So down the inside at turn 1.
Lowndes has made ground on Tander, so he'll have a dive at Jack now. You can just see here in the foreground, he's got him now already. So straight by Jack. So Jack did a good job there to sidestep his way out of the race with Lowndes, Van Gisbergen now the next one in the train. So Whincup, Courtney, Tander, Lowndes, Van Gisbergen, top 5.
I wonder what's happened with the 97 Van Gisbergen car. Just Jonathan had a really good run early, and then for whatever reason, the back end of his stint, it was a little bit of a struggle. And Shane's not been able to click, well, certainly to this point anyway, it hasn't looked like he's been as happy as we've seen him in other parts of the weekend. Remember, his team managers also got an injury early this week where he got taken out going for a bit of leisurely exercise on his bicycle of all things, and so he's got a sling on down there with his right arm. He's in a lot of pain trying to conduct a big racing operation and having to deal with that. Someone's got a broken header or exhaust pipe out there as well. One of the cars out there sounds like one of Larko's tractors.
It couldn't be that bad.
So 3.1 seconds is the gap between Whincup and Courtney. And Tander.
Last lap.
Then Lowndes, then Van Gisbergen, Coulthard, Pye, McLaughlin, Reynolds and Mostert. Remember, Pye made a little mod to the rear of the car to try and smarten it up for this final stint. We'll see what its pace looks like.
That smoke still coming from the back of the VIP car. It's one of the cars in front of this. It might be one of the HRT cars.
Let's have a listen and see if we can pick up who it is, but one of them sounds dreadful.
I was about to make the point. Check that lap time. 10.34 to 10.35. Whincup, Courtney.
Go, Larko.
Yeah, I'm just down here at the corner coming onto the main straight as the field comes around. You know how they say in golf, be the ball? Well, as you watch this, be the right tyre. Think of the stress that it's under. That's why this bloke does such a good job, because what they're trying to do... I'll tell you, that was Ingle's car. Went going past, sounded like one of my tractors. But if you think about the stress the right tyre's on, there's two things going on there. Latitudinal grip and longitudinal grip. They're trying to get around the corner, but you're trying to drive hard off it because it's flat through here. They all take a slightly different line to get the least amount of rolling resistance through here and run onto the straight. And because it goes onto the long of the straight, that is the most important corner on the track, as is turn 4 over there, because it goes onto the straight.
It's an interesting one, Larko, because there's always been a bit of a theory of taking the lock off the car and running wide. But when you take the lock off and you have less resistance and run wide, you run a longer distance. So some guys turn it further and run it narrower towards the inside wall and therefore have 30 or 40 metres less track to cover. So always been a bit of conjecture as the best way to handle that, and this is now on board with Winterbottom. The top of the hill, that's an immensely fast part of the track, and this is now Courtney getting by. So we just heard Ingle with the drama with that header on 7 cylinders.
Yeah, it sounded terrible. I heard it go by before, and the race director also called blue flags there for Russell Ingle. That's only just happened in the last couple of laps for Russell's car, so you can clearly hear it in the background there now. 3.5 seconds Whincup to Courtney, the vast majority of which was as a result of James having to deal with that traffic at the restart.
Lowndes and Van Gisbergen were the two fastest cars in the top 5. 10.1 for Lowndes, 10.13 and a 10.1 flat for Van Gisbergen. So don't discount them still. They're coming forward in terms of their speed versus Whincup and Courtney. There you go, there's the numbers. 10.2 for the leader, 10.7 for Courtney, 10.13, 10.10. On board now with Reynolds. Coming up behind Mostert. Mostert with the freshest tyres in the field. He put tyres on lap 133. Youngest tyres in the field, as I said. Down the inside, Scott Pye on Coulthard just gets it done on the Mach 3 replay. Good shot. On board now. Just gets down there, runs him wide.
The man that just ran wide on the outside down there at turn 1, Fabian Coulthard in 14, he's complaining of a lack of straight line speed as well at the moment. So he said it's just terrible. So there may be a reason for that. So the current margin, first to second, 3.4 seconds. 10.1 for Whincup, 10.0 for Courtney, 10.6 for Tander, 10.6 for Lowndes, 10.2 for Van Gisbergen. So Shane's got some pace there. Pye 10.4. There's Tander, there's Lowndes. That sounds shocking, doesn't it? I picked that up as soon as it went past the first time when something wasn't right. And there's also a bit of chat on the radio about someone dropping oil. Remember, we've seen some telltale smoke trails from car number 97 there, the VIP Pet Foods entry. And maybe there's something going on with Russell's car too. Looking at the back of Fabian Coulthard's car. This is from the Volvo point of view. McLaughlin down the inside, and that's a positional move. Good job for seventh.
That was a nice move. It was a late dive. Fabian's not too happy about giving it away. You can see there,
a bit of Kiwi to Kiwi action. So he's off down the road now. McLaughlin in seventh place. Next in the queue for him is Pye. You wouldn't have put too much money on the notion that Shaz Mostert could be in the top 10 and his teammate Winterbottom would be just outside based on the way the early phase of this race went, as Mostert now makes a move on Coulthard, who is vulnerable for whatever reason, so maybe he does have a straight line issue. So when you consider the difficulties they had in the first phase of the race with car number 6, but remember that little spin for Steve Owen in Mark Winterbottom's car, right in the spot where we're riding with Dave Reynolds at the moment, that has hurt. And there's Frosty Mark Winterbottom in the background. The reason I'm mentioning him is because of his position in the championship and the impact of him being 11th at the moment and Jamie Whincup en route to a potential win with a 3.5 second margin.
It's a great shot then on board with Dave Reynolds. You can see the level of vigour. Looks reasonably sedate from the outside, but this is quite an aggressive racetrack. You've got to use a lot of curb everywhere. Curb down at turn 9, a lot of curb down here at turn 11 where they're just about to arrive now. Dave Reynolds around the outside of Fabian. He's going to try to hold it there. He can't.
The reason he tries to do that is if he can just stay on that outside, it rapidly becomes the inside line. How's this for a number, folks? Fastest lap of the race so far today. It's coming up to 10 minutes to 5, local time in Melbourne. Late in the game, lap 148, 1 minute, 9.8 seconds for Jamie Whincup. The fastest lap of the day in the last phase of the race, so he's in good shape. 3.8 seconds is the margin.
I think this is a little bit of what the Roland example was, because as you talk to Adrian Burgess and Roland through the day and the level of vigour and competitiveness and rivalry between two of the factory Holden teams, now Whincup gets a chance to show the genuine speed with 9.85, as Neil said. Extraordinary lap time at this point of the race.
Yeah, and I totally concur, Mark. I know we had a little bit of fun with Roland before, but you've got to give him due credit. I mean, to be able to run around at the front of the pack, keep ahead of the game by 7, 8, 9 seconds, conserving fuel to let go now is pretty special, and that's good management. But what I love about this quirky game we play is you can do that all day, but that last safety car brings you back to the field, and now they've got the speed to get on with it. Well done.
Exactly, Larko. It's such a cruel sport, isn't it? You work hard to get that gap, and then something happens, and the gap is erased. And based on that, this man has had to respond. There's the championship provisional points for you, based on Whincup being in first and Winterbottom being in 11th. And under that scenario, Lowndes jumps up into second with 273 points. Remember, for all these long distance races as part of the Enduro Cup, they're 300-point races. The Sunday races are 300 points. So basically less than one round of the championship now. Lowndes into second in front of Winterbottom.
How to turn 135 into a number called 273. The warning was there after practice 1 when Jamie was in the car on Friday, when he went out and put a margin on everybody. Look at this. Fabian's really battling with car number 14 at the moment. Coulthard in the Lockwood entry is really getting a belting, and there was contact down there at 9. Reynolds trying to make it stick around the outside again. This time he's done it. That's the move that I was talking about before, and buying in and benefiting will be Winterbottom down the inside. He'll be in position by the time they get to turn 1 to also make a gain. So something's gone wrong there with Fabian's car in the late phase of the race.
And this is important in the championship because that's one spot. He may even get Dave Reynolds. So if, for instance, Winterbottom can forge forward and get to 9th, that has, again, championship implications based on the numbers we just showed you.
Rob Starr's just conveyed numbers to James Courtney. Said you're 1/10 quicker than Whincup on that lap, and you're holding station over Garth Panda. So that's the message from Grant McPherson to Mark Winterbottom. And he'll be looking to try and hustle by David Reynolds. Remember, there was contact between them in Sydney Motorsport Park.
See how hard he's still driving it? Whincup was sideways then under brakes. He had the rear wheels locked, he had it turned in, and he was sideways before he got to the corner. He drives the car so well when he turns it on like this. 10.04, 10.05.
And it's 1 minute 9.85 for Whincup. He's nearly matched the lap record held by Garth Tander, which was set on a soft tyre, Dunlop soft tyre in 2009. A 1 minute 9.85 number that Whincup did is only fractions away from it, tiny hundredths of a second here and there. So he's really, to do that number is where I'm going with this point. He's actually got to drive like a qualifying lap. So there it is, there's Courtney and his teammate. These guys are not done yet.
It's a very good battle. We've seen some classic races with Tander and Lowndes. Remember that classic at Bathurst where they finished a car length apart? And two of the most experienced guys in two of the best teams, two of the factory teams for Holden. What a day for Holden at the moment. Right through the top 5 to Scott Pye as the lead Ford, then the lead Volvo in 7th, McLaughlin, then the lead Nissan, Rick Kelly in 13th, and what a horrific day for Mercedes-Benz E63 AMG, 21st at the moment, Will Davison. So Whincup leads by 3.8 seconds to Courtney. Great battle in the background there. You can see Tander and Lowndes as Scott Pye gets down the inside of Russell Ingall. Bad luck for Russell Ingall with this header problem, or maybe they've just gone onto 7 cylinders, maybe something else that's done that. You can just see Lowndes coming through turn 2 and turn 3, right up behind Tander. He looks like he's got slightly better pace, and this will be very vigorous with 8 laps remaining. With no gap. There he is, right behind him.
Aaron Noonan's just reminded me that if Red Bull Racing are able to do this, it's the 5th straight 500 win, because remember, we've shared them between Phillip Island and here. So this is a remarkable performance. I said earlier in the broadcast that if you look back through the history of the 500s, these guys have had an impeccable record. It's proving to be the case again, although it is not done. It's 3.8 seconds between Whincup and Courtney. This little battle going on here between Tander and Lowndes, 3rd and 4th.
These are qualifying laps, Croppo. 10.1, 10.2, 10.3, 10.4, 10.6, 10.4. I mean, they're just driving the cars as hard as you can possibly drive them.
Lowndes looks pretty strong here, doesn't he? Hasn't really been a mega strong weekend for him with this car, though. Normally he's a little more effective around here. He didn't look that thrilled earlier in the day when I had a chat to him about it. His big thing that he was frustrated about is he can't use the curb. We saw then that he didn't use any of it on the exit of turn 4.
Which interests me, because Lowndes there normally uses that exit curb as a bit of a motocross berm.
And the fence, and if there's any tree or any other thing that he can grab onto on the way.
That's right, and when you do that, that curve that was just in the foreground there is quite steep. So as you slide the car out to it, the right-hand rear tyre catches it, and it sort of subsides the slide. It controls the back of the car, and based on that, you can normally be on the throttle quite hard and control the wheel spin when that happens also. So Lowndes not using any of it must be a technical reason, must be an issue with the balance of the car and the way that they make the exit work, trying to make it as straight as they can and not running it on the curb is different to the normal Lowndes technique. On board now with Scott Pye, done a very good job. 6th position and in front of Van Gisbergen. Very good manoeuvre.
To 5th position and first forward in the field. He's got a wall of Holdens in front of him. This has been impressive performance, and you've also got to dip your hat to his co-driver Ash Walsh for helping deliver that position. So I think I'm answering my own question earlier about did they smarten up the behaviour of the car with that little change we saw to the rear end. I think the answer would be yes. Is that car also making a noise, or is that Russell just polluting the audio in the background?
I thought it was back on 7 cylinders also, but it's so close to Russell's now you can hardly tell the difference. A lot of smoke coming from the back of the VIP car. It has been for a while. We heard Tim Schenken from Cam's Race Control say a little while ago, which car is it? It's definitely Ingall, not far behind.
Yeah, I reckon that car is actually dropping a bit of oil there.
Yeah, he's back. How was the metal lock he had on it then?
Yeah, it's Russell.
The flowing blues smoke continues to do that. You might have a look at that for us, please. 97.
See, that's the voice of Tim Schenken, Cam's race control. Meantime, back to the battle third and fourth between Tander and Lowndes. These fellas are about 7 seconds away from the lead. James' margin to Jamie now is 4.5 seconds. So Whincup's just starting to take firm control of this now. It's getting to a point where the cushion is solid.
And that was a 9.92, Neil. The previous lap versus the 9.85 was a 9.92. So an excellent lap time, and that's now, as you said, 4.5 second lead. And look at this battle remains. I love the ferocity of this, the resilience of Lowndes. He races so well, but so does Tander. He's one of the hardest guys to pass in the field. He makes the car very wide.
I was at a function earlier in the week with Garth Tander talking about his fortunes at this racetrack, and for some obscure reason in the 500 here he's just been locked into 4th place land. So one of the reasons I'm sure front of his mind at the moment will be to do anything not to have yet another 4th against his name. So he's on for a podium at the moment, Garth Tander, but Craig Lowndes is going to try and do everything he can to prize him out of that position. So it's remarkable. He's had 4 4th placings, 2004, 5, 7 and 2012. A couple of pole positions and a lap record. There he is on screen.
Check that. Pye's the fastest of the top 5. 10.3, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2 for Pye. Well done. That's really good car pace versus the very best operators in the field. It's a bit of a weird gap, this one of Lowndes to Tander, because he's making it up under brakes and on turn-in, but I think the engine performance of the HRT cars certainly this weekend has been improved. Always, this circuit's a bit of a drag strip, the 2 straights very long, and that big run up the back straight, for instance, to a terminal speed of roughly 266 kilometres an hour, is one of the best drag strips, one of the best dynos, the way you assess the engine performance versus others.
It's Leanne Tander with Scarlett watching Dad at work. Dad's a bit busy at the moment, so don't bother calling. He's trying to work on the silverware collection at the moment. He's got Craig Lowndes. And every time you look at Lowndes in the mirror, you just think to yourself, well, there's a packet of headaches, you know, because he's going to torture you every last millimetre of the way until you get to that checkered flag. He's a great racer, Lowndes.
You see that gap there, Neil? Onto the back straight, he was right behind him. Oh, big moment.
I heard McLaughlin on the radio, so he's up a chance to...
It's Mostert.
Yeah, McLaughlin's very angry. He's actually seeking, he's talking to his guys. He reckons he should be given a drive-through for that Chaz Mostert. He's very, very angry. You don't hear him too animated. But I'm sure there'll be a little message going on the local area network down to race control about that one. They won't react right now. If they look at it, they'll look at it later on.
It's a bit of he's elastic, in, sorry. A little elastic gap, just a bit strange. Have a good look at this, because Lowndes makes the ground on the way to the corner, Neil. He breaks it really well, but Garth's getting the exit drive and straightening it off. Even that gap then on the way out of 1 up to 2, it just makes the exits nice.
Incidentally, they've just dispatched car number 222, Nick Percat, back onto the racetrack after all that time lost for him. They're trying to seek him out on the racetrack to be classified and get some points. He's in 23rd. So Tander, good straight line speed there. Looking pretty strong, isn't he? So he's holding on for the moment.
I don't think Lowndes is going to be in a position to get him, because he's too far back at all the points you put your foot on the pedal to stop the car. So everywhere you get to a braking area, there's 3 or 4 car lengths to make up rather than even getting alongside. So he's working the car extremely hard. This is a very hard place on brakes based on those 2 big stops at the end of each of the front straight and back straight.
So last lap, Whincup 10.6, Courtney 10.5, Tander 10.5, Lowndes 10.6. It's just a little under 4 seconds now, the margin between Whincup and Courtney.
So
I reckon the thing that's really hurting Lowndes more than anything is this little sequence in here. When he came onto the back straight last time, he was this close, and then by the time they got halfway up the back straight, there was air between them again. He doesn't get off turn 4 very strongly at the moment, Craig. He's a little bit better this time, but look at that. He's not really even getting... Well, he probably is a little bit of benefit of in the toe there, but can't do much when they run out of breath at the end of the straight anyway. So he's a little bit closer this time, but that'll be frustrating for Craig. He's very close to him in the braking area down at Dandenong Road at turn 9. James is having a nice quiet run. He's got the margin down to 3.6 seconds. There's only a couple of laps remaining.
I think Whincup may have just backed it off a little bit. Those lap times now are about 7 or 8 tenths of a second slower than he was earlier. Just check the number for you. 10.8. 10.8. Whincup coming up to the last lap, and that's smart. He doesn't need to take risks. Just back it off a bit. Courtney and Murphy, very good job today. Garth Tander, Warren Luff have battled.
Look at this. These guys been racing hard all day, and with 3/4 of a lap to go, it's still tough to call this one. 3.8 seconds is the gap between Whincup and Courtney. Red Bull Racing Australia, Holden, and the Holden Racing Team Commodore. But the battle for the last spot on the podium is not done. Last time up the back straight for these guys, for Tander and for Lowndes. There's the race leader. He takes it nice and gently down the hill. Doesn't want to lock a brake. Hits all his marks. And heads down towards the checkered flag. Meantime, back at the other end of the racetrack, Lowndes does everything he can. 2 corners remaining now for Whincup. He's on now for race victory number 59. He's done it.
Oh, yeah.
It's 9 for 29.
Apparently you can't win from Paul.
Jamie Whincup wins the Wilson Security Sandown 500 from James Courtney by 2.5 seconds.
Awesome pit stop from everyone. That was an awesome team effort. Well done, mate. Well done.
Paul Dumbrell, Roland Dane, an appreciative crowd. Whincup, Courtney, Tander hangs on.
And did you hear Jamie Whincup? His first comment was apparently he can't win from pole. So Whincup prevails over James Courtney and Greg Murphy. You can see there they'll be very excited from the HRT perspective to have both their cars on the podium. PD, they're congratulating the rest of the guys. What a superb performance from Paul Dumbrell today. Did not make a mistake and was very, very fast. He did a 10.02, almost exactly the same time as Whincup. Warren Luff there congratulating also the rest of the HRT guys. Did a good job there. He battled through the course of the day, handed it back to Garth Tander, who did a great job in the closing stages to hold off a fast finishing Craig Lowndes. Scott Pye, extraordinary job for Ford to be the highest placed Ford car here today in position 5 with Ash Walsh, Van Gisbergen, Mostert, great fight back. McLaughlin, who got hit by Mostert late in the race, back in 8th. Dave Reynolds, 9th, and Winterbottom, 10th. So, championship leader, Jamie Whincup, wins. Winterbottom, championship leader second coming into this event. 135 points adrift, finishes 10th. Now Lowndes up to 2nd position in the series, fighting with his teammate, Jamie Whincup.
That was a very tidy performance from Red Bull Racing Australia, wasn't it? And when I look down at the stats that I keep on Jamie, I didn't add in that win. So it's actually win number 10 for him for this year. So that's a great, isn't it? Very impressive performance. Grabs the checkered flag. I think the really impressive part was the way they were able to cruise round in the early part of the day to make sure that they had minimum fuel to drop at the last stop and good quality tyres always. Jamie buzzes it up. 10 victories for 2014.
Paul Dumbrell there, running along with him. Grabs the checkered flag. Paul's a very fit guy. He's been doing triathlons and he's a...
marathons and half marathons, so he won't have any trouble with that.
Exactly, he's pretty good with all that stuff. How's the amount of smoke inside car 1? Paul, the first one there.
About the only scare they had all weekend was the possible creeping at the start for Paul Dumbrell. That was it. The rest of it was absolutely perfect. So 300 vital points for them. And that really stretches his championship lead. A remarkable performance for Jamie Whincup and Paul Dumbrell, Red Bull Racing Australia, and for Holden. Opens up his championship lead, puts together a back-to-back win. The last time that was done was Dick Johnson and John Bowe a long time ago. This is a mighty performance. Well done, boys. Here's Barrett's.
So, Jamie Whincup, it is true you can actually win Sandown from pole position. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks, Brett. Apparently first time since 96. I think Lounsey did it back in 96. So everyone said, yeah, we were no chance. But obviously the car was unbelievably good. PD did a faultless performance. And I just did the afternoon stint and brought it home.
Paul, how much pressure on you? Your first stint, you've got to open it up. You've got to protect his championship lead as well.
Yeah, no, the car was pretty good. So Jamie made it pretty easy for me starting from pole, and we had a fairly consistent car. So obviously how the safety cars played out, then I did a few more laps. So I think I did more than half the race. So I have to reverse that for Bathurst. It's hard work, I didn't sign up for that. So no, it was a great day, and I was really happy for the team. Nearly got Lowndes on the podium, but first and fourth, great result.
Now, it is 24 more sleeps until we get to Mount Panorama. Does it feel like this is good setup for a little Bathurst revenge this year?
Yeah, as we say, this is not a warm-up. The Sandown 500 is a standalone event, so we're obviously wrapped. We'll go back and regroup, and as you say, the big one's up next. So we'll put our best performance in there.
We can't wait. I know you guys can't either. Congratulations, well done.
Thanks, Brett. Cheers, mate.
And congratulations to James Courtney and Greg Murphy. Murph, well done, JC. Congratulations, guys. A great effort, and I know last year was tough, but JC, this is nice, very nice.
It's all down to my mate Murphy. He did all the hard work for us. Great start. Jumped a couple of rows on the start, running third, and the car ran really strong. Got past Ben Gisberg, and then I just had to cruise around. So it was Murph did a sensational job today, and all weekend really. So we're pretty pumped. Can't wait for Bathurst.
And Murph, you probably did have to do a few more laps than you thought you would today.
Oh, we planned for that. I mean, that's what can happen with the way the four stops. It was just all the training I've been doing. So we prepared for it, and it was good. It was good to spend some time in the car and do some work, so you didn't have to do it all. But it was good. We had a good start. Car was pretty pacey. A couple of little things we'll keep working on, but it was good. And old mate here, never lets us down.
Let's talk about Bathurst, boys. It's eluded you, JC. As you were finishing up this race, did you sort of start to turn your mind towards Mount Panorama?
No, not at all. I was still hoping that old mate would fall off in front of us. But no, we've got Murph's done an amazing job up there in the past with 4 Bathurst, King of the Mountain or Lap of the Gods, whatever it's called. And
past.
Yeah, and last year we were pretty quick, and the car's about 1,000 times better than what we had this time last year. So we're both pretty amped and can't wait to get there.
Hey, good on you guys. Well done. Congratulations. See you at the podium. And Warren Luff and Garth Tander, guys, congratulations. And Team Tander as well. Fantastic result, mate. That's great to get a podium and great to get the team finish like this for you guys as well.
Yeah, look, I'm obviously really happy both cars on the podium. And for me, it's my first podium at the Sandown 500, so Lounsey wasn't going to get me. That would have been the 4th time I finished 4th. So Wazza did a great job early in the stint, and we had to double stack, so that cost us quite a bit of time. So to end up 3rd, really happy with that. And great result for the team, and roll on Bathurst.
Roll on Bathurst. Was it, a lot of pressure there early on for you guys, and as all the guys did, you end up doing more laps than you thought you would. How tough was it early on?
Yeah, look, it was very tough, but look, that's the great thing about endurance racing. You've just got to get out there and get on with it. But look, couldn't be happier to first race with HRT, to be on the podium with Garth. Great for the team, 1-2. So yeah, roll on Bathurst.
Roll on Bathurst. 24 more sleeps, GT.
Can't wait.
Good on you. See you there, guys. Enjoy this podium. Larko.
Yeah, well, it's all happy up there, but I reckon a great result for today is down here. P5, Scotty Pye, Ash Walsh. I really like both of these blokes. They are ripper young blokes. Let me shake your hand first, Ash. Great job, mate. More than 70 laps in the car. It's a big first stint. Kept it in clean. Well done.
Yeah, thank you. It was a long way, 79 laps. Get out, I was pretty sore when I got out, but the car, as the track rubbered up, was getting better and better. We were a little worried after warm-up this morning with, not quite having the drive traction that we wanted, but the guys really turned it on. So So, you know, we've got a great team and a great car, and I'm just happy to get a top 5 for Scotty.
Yeah, and I reckon you've really waved your flag today, mate, that you need a gig in the main game. Scotty Pye, you're a coming man, and I reckon today you've put your stake in the ground, mate. Those times you were doing the last 5-8 laps were as good as the best guys in the business. Should be very proud of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a full credit to the guys at the team, though. You know, Eastern Creek, obviously, we got fenced, and they had a massive turnaround. I think the biggest repair supercars have ever had. So to come out, get that result, it's fantastic for the team and well-deserved for them. But, you know, to get such a good result with the best mate is it's kind of special. It's like you're at the pinnacle of Australian motorsport and you're able to, you know, share a car with your mate and have some fun.
Mate, should be very proud. You did a ripper job. Well done.
Thanks very much. Cheers.
It was a fantastic performance by those guys. They should be very proud of that, particularly the comeback that Scotty just spoke about. So here is the situation with the unofficial results, and Whincup and Dumbrell do it 2 years in a row, from James Courtney and Greg Murphy, and then Holden Racing Team also occupying the 3rd spot on the podium there as well. Looking further down, frustrating for Fabian Coulthard and for Luke Youlden to fall outside the top 10 after a really hard-working effort all through the weekend. Something obviously went wrong there towards the back end of that performance, and a shocking day for Lee Holdsworth, but he's okay as a result of that drama. And Jason Bright and his teammate Andrew Jones were also in the wars, unfortunately. The podium is set. Here is Barrett's.
2014 Wilson Security Sandown 500, our 29th race of the year. Would you please congratulate, in first place again this year, Jamie Whincup and Paul Dumbrell, Red Bull Racing Australia. In second place, James Courtney and Greg Murphy for the Holden Racing Team. And in third place, Garth Tander and Warren Luff for the Holden Racing Team. Representing the winning team is David Couchy, Red Bull Racing Australia. Making the presentation of the 3rd place trophy is Christy Cook, National Marketing and Communications Manager from our major sponsor, Wilson Security. Making the presentation of the 2nd place trophy is Andrew Luxton, Head of Marketing from United Petroleum. Making the presentation of the Castrol Winning Edge Trophy is Sue Dilger, Sponsorship Manager, Castrol Lubricants. And making the presentation of our 1st place trophy is John McMillan, the Chief Executive Officer, Asia Pacific, from our naming rights sponsor, Wilson Security. Ladies and gentlemen, the 2014 V8 Supercars Wilson Security Sandown 500 Race 29 winners.
The 6 guys did a great job today, and Jamie Whincup, together with his teammate Paul Dumbrell, has turned a number from 135 into 273 in terms of the margin. Whincup to Lowndes in the championship, and then Mark Winterbottom hanging on in 3rd place there. Shane Van Gisbergen had a question mark over his car performance. Looking further down there, Courtney Coulthard Mostert, who charged back through the field later in the game. And then McLaughlin, who was elbowed towards the back end of that race. Garth Tander into the top 10, and Reynolds into the top 10 as well. I'm going to correct all my numbers on Whincup. It's 10 wins so far this year from 29 races and 85 career victories. I'll spit them out right. I'll grab the right bits of paper next time.